Welcome to the Missouri Freedom Initiative. Today is Sunday. It's March, gosh darn it, is it the 20th already? March 20th, 2022. We have a special program for you tonight. We have April Lejeune with us, along with the regular gang. Tonight we're going to talk about corruption in the state of Missouri and what we, as residents of the state of Missouri, can do about corruption. April kind of exemplifies that with what she's doing, and we're going to talk to her about that tonight. So I'd like to welcome everyone who's joining us on YouTube. Let's see, Tom Quiggin is chiming in from Canada tonight, and a few others as well. And I just want to say, that is so cool that people in Canada are tuning in to listen to April tonight. That is just awesome. And hello to, that's right. And so we have Jimmy D with us tonight. We haven't had him in a while, so welcome to Jimmy D. Of course, we have Caleb, also known as Liberty Revolutionary. We have Scott, also known as Ganai. We have Casey Rich, Mike from Maine. We have the Missouri Liberty Report, also known as John. And Tom, there we go. Tom, I see you in here with us. Let me make sure that you have some permissions here. Pardon me. Okay, we got Tom set up to go now too. So welcome aboard, Tom. And I'd like to start tonight by, it's great to have you here, man. That is really cool that you emailed me earlier and you wanted to be a part of the program tonight. That's so cool, especially from Canada. I want to start tonight by saying we have a lot of weird things going on in the United States, and in a microcosm way, it's happening in every state. And the problems that we have here are corruption. We can talk about what started the corruption and, how it promulgates through the system, how people, become entrapped or a part of that corruption. But I think I'd like to start by, let me go ahead and do a server mute. Sorry about that, Casey. I've server muted you. When you guys are done here, I can take you off mute. But April herself is deciding that she's had enough in her area, that Jackson County itself, it does have some corruption. We all know this. This is a Kansas City. Guys, when I say Jackson County, just think Kansas City. And she's actually going to do something about it. So again, welcome, April, and tell us a little bit about yourself, and then I want to get into the story about why you entered the race for county commission a little bit late. And then let's talk about some of the problems we have in Jackson County. We have a SAPA problem there, but everyone who normally watches us knows this. We'll talk about some of the other problems. So again, welcome, and you have the floor.
Okay, well, my name's April Lejeune. I have been a reporter, a political reporter, for about 30 years now. And there's so much corruption in everything that we do. I got to tell you, I am so sick and tired of listening to them tell us what we're going to do, and it's completely unconstitutional, and I can barely stand it. And so when Donald Trump decided that he was going to run for office, it was about time, because I've been saying the same thing for about 30 years, pretty much the same stuff that he's been saying for a long time. But I started out working for ABC News in broadcasting, and that was in 2001. Around 2001. And I'll tell you what, back then we were getting censored a lot. And I finally quit because I couldn't sit there and continue to lie to people. And so it's been fake news forever. But now I am so fed up with having my rights and everybody else's rights stepped on. I decided that I'm going to run for office, which I'm running for county legislator, District 3 in Independence. It's Independence, Sugar Creek, a little bit of Kansas City, and Lee Summit. But the reason I'm doing it mainly is because the election board basically pissed me off. And I said, you know what? I'm done. I'm going to run, and I'm going to make it loud and clear that you guys are corrupt in every single aspect of this government. And if we can get good people in to run, then we can probably change the dynamics of what's going on. But if we don't run for office, we're never going to be able to do it.
I agree 100%, April. And also, too, we can talk a little bit. In fact, I think it's incumbent upon us to talk tonight why so many good people don't want to run for office. You and I both know the answer to that, but I think we should discuss that tonight. It's because it's a fact. A lot of good people don't want to run. Go ahead.
Well, they don't want to run because it's a dirty game.
Mm-hmm.
That's the main reason is because it's a dirty game. And if they can't find something on you, they're going to make it up. And a lot of people have a hard time pushing back on that, and a lot of times it has to do, like, for example, if somebody thinks that they could probably weather that storm, it's their family that's going to be the problem. I just talked to a guy. I can't even believe there's a guy running for judge. He literally is campaigning to run for a judgeship here, and that's pretty much virtually unheard of, because usually nobody runs and campaigns for judges because the field is so corrupt that they will, if they don't want you, they will go out there and take pictures of your family, threaten your family. It's not just for threatening you, it's threatening your family and everybody else around you. And so I asked him, I said, why are you doing this? Aren't you afraid that they're gonna come after you? And he said, well, they've already tried a little bit, but he thinks his reputation will overcome that. But the problem is it's a dirty game. And I can tell you right now, I have barely even scratched the surface of campaigning, and they're already trying to make me compromise. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I am over it. It's not going to happen.
Yep. And that's wonderful. I think that, it's probably time for me to mention, we don't talk about Kansas City a whole lot on this channel. We're concentrated more on what's going on in Jefferson City. So those of you who don't know, who don't live in the state of Missouri, there's just a little bit of corruption going on in Kansas City, like there is in St. Louis and, of course, in Jefferson City. So that's the kind of stuff that we're starting to talk about right now. And by the way, corruption doesn't go away if we ignore it. I mean, we have to talk about it. We have to shine a light in the darkness. That is the only way. And good people have to run for office. And so people have to go. I'm sorry. Go ahead, April.
No, they do have to run for office. And one of the problems that we're having is, the local affects the state. And the state is what, if we don't get the counties under control, then we can't get the state under control. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because the counties are supposed to be supporting the state.
Yep.
And if you can't get these things going properly, the corruption is just out of, I can't even hardly believe it. And I've been doing this for 30 years.
Yep. And you're coming from the same area that the Rizzo dynasty comes from, I imagine. John Rizzo.
Yeah, don't get me started on that.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry. We poke at him all the time, by the way.
Well, this is a little clown nose for him. Just
So you're ready for the next encounter you have with him. Hey, John, put this on. We're going to do a picture together.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Okay, so I'll tell you what, because I've watched some of your videos, I have to admit to everybody, I had no idea who April was until roughly about 9 days ago. A guy got me on Twitter and is working on a newspaper, and it basically said, hey, have you heard of this April Lejeune gal? And I said, no, I sure haven't. And he sent me a link to her website. I went to the website, then I watched some YouTube videos. And that's how I found out about April Lejeune, a good, honest person who wants to talk about corruption that's running for office. How often do you see that? And it doesn't matter if it's on the state level or if it's on a local level or even on the federal level. You don't see that very often. These are the footholds that we need to take our government back. This is what we need is people like April. But April filed late this year to run for commissioner. April, would you care to share that story with us?
Sure. I went to file my papers the second day because the first day it was super crowded, and I thought, I'll just wait till the next day to go. I get to the courthouse and they start obstructing me because they said, now, you got to understand, Kansas City does not have any mandates inside, outside, nothing for masks or anything. Okay. So I go into the courthouse, and of course I'm not wearing my commie cover. And so they stop me. The sheriff's department stops me and says, you got to put that on to come in here. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. We don't have any, there's nothing, there's not even a mandate anymore. And they said, oh, but you have to do that inside the courthouse. I said, well, wait a minute here. Aren't you guys supposed to be enforcing the Constitution and not policy and mandates? They said, oh, no, 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 no. We are going by the policy of the county executive, which is Frank White. Okay. And I was like, but wait a minute. Didn't you say that you were going to uphold the Constitution and the Constitution of Missouri? You did not say you were going to uphold the Constitution or the mandates and the policies of a county executive. And they just kept on obstructing me. And I thought, okay, I'll just sit in this chair. Fine. I'll wait for someone to come down and get my papers. Well, they called up there. They wouldn't come down. They said, if I'm going to file, I have to go up there with my commie cover on, which I'm not going to do. And so I said to them, I said, why would I do that and compromise my position from the very beginning before I've even filed my paperwork? Would you trust somebody who's already compromised before they've even put their papers in? And they said, they just said, you've got to do it. And so anyway, I told him the Supreme Court ruled this, that, and the other. The guy says, I don't care what the Supreme Court said. I said, but it was like a clown show. So I decided to wait. And I thought, you know, if these guys do not, if they do not lift this mandate, I will sue them. Well, that Friday, the CDC came out and said you didn't have to have them inside. And I thought, okay, let's see how long that takes. Well, it was just over the weekend. And they decided they were going to lift everything. So I went back, I walked right in, and I filed my papers to run. But, I mean, what changed between here and there? Nothing.
The decision of whether or not to wear the commie, what do you call it again? A commie what? Commie covering?
A commie cover.
That's awesome. Yeah. We use face diaper here. I love it. People have all kinds of different names for that. So face diaper, commie, whatever. So that's all that changed is, that order expired. Kansas City was famous for hanging on to it longer than most of the state. And that's a shame too. By the way, a quick question for you. How much longer can people file to run for county positions in the state of Missouri? Or is that over now to file?
No, they can still file up till March 29th.
March 29th. Okay, gang, for those of you who are watching right now, you've got about a week left. If you wanted to actually unseat a corrupt person in your county, please, please, please consider doing so. It's not just and by the way, I believe that would be for city as well. No, I'm not sure. Is that correct?
It's not for city, no, it's not for city, but it's for any kind of state offices, the county offices, and guess what? The committeemen and women of the party.
Yep.
Here's why it matters, okay? So I have, and they know I think this, so I'm not giving them any surprises when I say this. We have a lot of rhinos in the Republican Party who are sitting committeemen and committee women, all right? In order to get rid of them, it doesn't matter whether that seat is filled or not. If you're not a rhino, then you need to go down there and pay your $25 and get in there and be a committeeman or a committee woman, because what's going to happen is when they come around to vote for whoever's going to be the chair, the vice chair, and the treasurer and the secretary, you can vote those people right out of there. I mean, our county is loaded with rhinos, and they know I think that. So this is not a surprise.
Yep. So you're going to get some flack. I mean, you're running against the rhinos. This is the established power brokers. The fascism, basically those rhinos working with local businesses for sweetheart deals, basically, putting money in each other's pockets right and left. This is the kind of corruption I've heard you talk about on your YouTube channel. What other kind of corruption are we seeing in Kansas City?
Well, it's the election board is ridiculous. They won't listen to anybody at all. They won't even meet. this is normal with the school board. It's the election board of the county. It's if you have any other boards, like you may have an electric board, but our electric board is run by the city, but it's still corrupt. They're under federal investigation, so that's a problem. It's just about any board that you can think of, and here's the reason why. A lot of these people that are getting in have an R by their name, but they're not Republicans. They're actually Democrats who are pretending to be Republicans. And what's interesting is they've set this up a long time ago. All right. So somebody might look like they're a 10-year Republican. If you look at their track record, they're actually a Democrat. So unfortunately, what we have been doing is going to the polls and voting for an R by their name instead of getting them or primarying that person so that we can get a good person in. And I mean, we're just relying on them to tell us the truth, and they haven't been doing it.
You can still,
Yep.
you can still hear it, right?
No, I agree 100%. Let me go ahead and get Liberty real quick here. Okay, gotcha. He's still troubleshooting with Casey Rich. Okay, so I think at this point right now, what you just said is extremely important, because if you look at the problems we have on the national level today, believe it or not, if we had healthy city, county, and state governments, the federal government would never be able to get away with this. Never. All the crap that they're pulling. So I'd like to bring up right now, and I know I shouldn't spend a lot of time on this because our audience is very familiar with this. There are 2 counties and 1 city currently suing the state of Missouri over our new SEPA law, which should be the standard for the Second Amendment for every state in the United States of America. Every state needs to get SEPA with teeth. And of course, Jackson County is one of those counties. And so we see corruption from that angle too. They're very anti-gun there in the county, aren't they? They're the county commissioners, the prosecutor.
Well, it's just the people that, and they call themselves leaders, but they're really just not. They're not supposed to be leaders. But yeah, they're really loud against guns, which is ridiculous because everybody I know has guns.
Yeah, and they run with the R after their name. So basically infiltration in the party. It's like the communists, infiltrated, the Democratic Party. And libertarians, small L libertarians, are infiltrating the Republican Party. Now we have, basically Democrats trying to infiltrate the Republican Party. And it's the political game here in the United States is much of a musical game of chameleon. They're literally very, very different than they say they are. We have seen that with, and we shouldn't talk about this too much, but with Dave Schatz up in Jefferson City.
Oh.
And so we've seen that with him. We've seen that with Caleb Roden. We've seen it with Huff. So these are problem areas that we have. Rhino Republicans up in Jeff City and doing the same basic thing Kansas City's doing, and doing it in their own way. They're not suing the state because they voted for SEPA. What they're doing is they're helping the opposition now try to get rid of SEPA. So,
well, that's actually how politics works.
Yeah. So now in Kansas, or I shouldn't say Kansas City, Jackson County, you have 9 commissioners total. So you have 8 standard commissioners and then 1 presiding commissioner. Is that correct?
Yes, that is right.
You are running for one of those commissioners. And I'm assuming you would be unseating an unsavory character in politics in your county. Is that correct?
That's right.
Awesome.
Yes, a Democrat, Charlie Franklin. He's a Democrat.
Okay, great. Let's talk a little bit about Charlie and some of the things he's done with his time there. Let's find out why you're the better person for the job.
Well, first of all, he's a Democrat, so that's already, I mean, that's a given. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is this guy, I cannot believe this guy. He's on the finance committee, the budget committee.
Okay, he is on finance and budget. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yep.
Go ahead.
And those are 2 different things, okay? And then he's also on the anti-crime, the land use, and there's something else that has to do with land also. But those committees right there, I call them the cover-up committees. Because those committees are the things that hide all the money, all the things that are going on. And let me tell you this guy's on the anti-crime committee, and crime has gone up 44% in my city alone.
Okay.
I mean,
So,
what are you doing?
do you guys currently have anti-crime measures or anything that you can actually draw a straight line to?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Every time you turn around, it's something else that they're obstructing.
Yeah.
They're letting criminals out on the streets. It's the same thing. I mean, we might as well just be New York or California at this point. You know, these people are totally ridiculous and out of control. And it's mainly because of Frank White and these county commissioners who are totally soft on everything, and a prosecuting attorney who basically, this is the harassment committee. They'll harass good citizens and let criminals go. That's what they do.
Yeah. So cleaning up the county commission is going to take more than just one person. Do you have another good person in there already, or someone running for another position?
Well, we have Preston Smith, and he is running for Frank White's position. See, our taxes are out of control too, and that's because they want more money. So, you talk about the schools. They're for boys and girls sports. They're for porn in school. I call it porn in school because that's what it is. Critical race theory. They're against guns. They're trying to fund Planned Parenthood. The taxes are over the top, and since they've reached the max on your property tax for your house, now they're going to be raising the value of your car so that they can tax you more on your car.
Oh,
yep, that's standard stuff.
Take all of our stuff and dump it on the city hall if that's what they want, because that's pretty much until we don't have anything. I think they'd take the shirt off your back if they could.
Yeah, I think they would too. I'm going to have to bring this one up here too. How closely linked was the county commission to the Department of Health as they were defying our Attorney General Eric Schmidt on ending the communist covering orders in the public schools in your county?
They're intertwined as if they were more than married.
Gotcha.
Like Siamese twins.
I had a feeling as much because it literally took Eric Schmidt literally getting ready to sue them in order for them to end that mandate in the schools there. And they were one of the very last places in Kansas City, in fact, the second to the last to end the face diaper mandates. And so,
well, see, it's still, I have a school right down here, right? I mean, literally, I can walk there. I could probably throw a stick over there. They're still doing it.
Okay. And they're still doing it in that. Okay, so they're currently being sued by Eric Schmidt then, I imagine. I think there's 50 school districts, the last time I looked a month ago, 50 school districts in Missouri that are being sued right now to stop it because the state law is there can be no mandates. It's parents' choice. This,
Patrick,
yeah.
Where I live, Rockwood School District, they're being sued by Schmidt.
Okay.
Because they're one of those defiant ones who think they know best.
Yeah. So this is
ridiculous.
Yep. So this is widespread. It's across the state. And these are, once again, this is state law that you cannot force these kids into masks. This is a parent's choice. This is not a school choice. This is not a Department of Health choice. This is not a county commission choice. But I do believe there's been a lot of angry parents up in that area trying to end this practice of the communist coverings as well in your area. April is what I've been reading, and some of it's fallen on completely.
They're not very loud. I can tell you that
they're not very loud.
They're not as loud as, no, they could be. You know what? If you take your kids out of school, even for 2 days, the school would lose so much money. They would be begging you to come back. I think that they should be taking their kids out of school anyway. I mean, because private schools up here actually have gifting programs. So if somebody wants to go to a private school here, there are private schools that will not turn down any child, and they will find the funding for that child if the parent can't afford it. But I think parents don't understand that they could actually do that. They think that they can't because, oh, I can't afford private school. Who's going to help me? Well, there's plenty of people out there like myself. I don't have any kids in school, but I do have a vested interest in the school because those guys are going to grow up and be our next mayor and city council and customer service agents and doctors and nurses and all that kind of stuff. If we can't get these kids out of there and get them an actual education, then that's going to hurt everyone, not just the people who have kids in school right now.
Yep. Understood.
Government school is an indoctrination camp.
I'd like to open it up now to the larger group, including those of you on YouTube. If you have questions for April, please put them in at any time. And guys, you have some questions for April? Now's the time. Let's talk about it. I know we have a few members that are in there right now that happen to live in your area, April. So they are very familiar about what you're talking about in the county. Yeah. It really, unfortunately, we talk about it more on the state level, and what we do is we just talk about what Rizzo did with a specific bill trying to get rid of the SEPA law that we have in the state of Missouri. And it had to be... Go ahead.
Everything that's bad, he's for, so...
Yeah, and it is strange. Well, he was the only one who could get away with it because he didn't stand up in the Senate during the debates. He had everyone else do it for him, you know, all of his minions in the Senate, stand up and filibuster against SEPA, except he himself did not do so. And then, of course, when he was questioned about it by the media, he said it's totally illegal. It'll be struck down by a court, so who cares? And, of course, that's not happening. So he introduces legislation to try to get rid of it himself, understanding, of course, that the court's not going to get rid of it, at least not a Missouri court. Because
the thing is,
go ahead.
Federal courts technically can't get rid of it.
Well, there's the problem is with these guys is they don't understand that there is no law that's legal when it comes to guns. None. Right. The Constitution has no stipulation on it. And every single time they try to pass something, it's already illegal before the ink is even dry.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't understand why they can't understand simple sentences.
Yep. Well, yeah, it's the concept.
You mean like shall not be infringed?
They understand.
They try to redefine infringement is what they do.
Yeah, they try to redefine every single word to twist it to whatever it is they want it to be today.
Second Amendment or not, there is no, I mean, the federal government itself has no jurisdiction over the matter to begin with.
That's right, they don't.
It's because they take the Interstate Commerce Clause or the General Welfare Clause and twist the words around, because regulate means to make efficient, not to restrict or control.
Right. And what's interesting about this is most people try to put a law in that's a common sense thing, okay? I was just going down the road today and I saw a guy with no helmet on in Missouri, which we don't have to wear helmets now, but I mean, personally, I do wear a helmet. If I ride my bike, I do wear a helmet. And when I say bike, I'm talking about an actual Harley, not a, pedal bike. I'm talking a real one. So anyway, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, it is common sense to wear a helmet. Yeah, it is. But if one guy has an accident and has a hand injury and he gets killed on that motorcycle, suddenly we have to have a law for everyone else. I mean, I'm like, it's common sense to do things that are going to be good for your health. They're going to be good for your family. And so that's common sense. We don't have to have a law every single time we turn around just because somebody else did something stupid.
Right.
The laws like that only protect stupid people from themselves.
Yeah, that's, we joke once in a while about natural selection being interrupted by government regulation. And that's a joke personally on our part. I'm a Christian. I don't assign any real. Hey, by the way, I've got a question for you from one of our YouTube, Patriot Pearl. So thank you, Patriot Pearl. She says she got in late. Is April a concerned citizen or does she work for the government? April, I'll let you answer that question. Patriot Pearl's listening in.
Well, first of all, I would never work for the government. If I get elected to this county legislator position, which is for District 3 in Independence, then that is a servant position. It is not working for the government. It's working for the people. And no, I have not. I have worked for the government once, a long time ago, when I worked at the IRS, which...
Ew.
Yeah. Yeah. Rough crowd in here, April.
April. I had to put that in there.
Hey, I'm not for them either, so just telling you.
Hey, look, if you're going to be working in the IRS or whatever.
I don't work for the government. I've been a political reporter for almost 30 years, starting out at ABC News, going to the KRMS down there at the Lake of the Ozarks, and then eventually becoming independent, which I am now.
Okay,
Yeah, it's a growing process for some people. Eventually people figure it out, and it's like, oh hell.
Okay,
Yeah.
Patriot is
They'll
following
make
up.
them all swallow the red pill.
Yeah, they're running out of red pills. They're gonna go to suppositories next because there's just no pills left. Because people are gonna have to learn the truth the hard way, I think, if they haven't caught on yet. I'm sorry. You know what? This is family friendly.
And he worries
I am
about
sorry.
me. He worries about me.
Yeah. Okay. Patriot Pearl has a follow-up question. And you already answered this before, but you came in late. Who are you running against in Jackson County?
I'm running against Charlie Franklin, who's a Democrat. And Charlie doesn't really do anything. What he does is he lets everybody else do something, and then he's like, which side is my bread buttered on? And I go this way, So he doesn't really make decisions. He just follows whatever he thinks is going to keep him in his seat.
Sure, that's your average politician, right? Just make a decision based on what benefits them personally the most. How they can benefit either financially or politically from every decision they make, rather than thinking about the people they represent. It's all about their own personal position, their own status in life. So thank you very much for the questions, Patriot Pearl. We appreciate it. Let's see. Mad Mom Anon 2 says, good evening, Missouri family. Hey, good evening to you as well. Thank you for joining us. Okay. All right, guys. Let's go ahead and get some more questions going for April Lejeune here inside the Discord. We don't have any questions currently on the YouTube chat. We have a lot of comments here, but not a lot of questions.
Well, I have a question.
Go for it.
So, April, did they pass an ordinance in Jackson County to because the state made their rules on the beer virus and the face diapers and everything, that gives them power over what the state had ruled on the beer flu, that if something else comes along, something that's they consider a pandemic, that they can make their own rules that overrule what the courts found in the state of Missouri?
Well, they haven't made a rule, legislation yet. They keep putting it on the table, but every time they put it on the table, we have a fit.
Okay, good.
And another thing too, I might add in there when it comes to the current legal structure is that jurisdictions that are that whole thing you're talking about, where they overrule the state courts and whatnot, the actual law surrounding that, I think they can only have it in effect for 90 days, and then they have to wait 180 more days before they can do another one. Which, if they're beyond that 90 days, they're in blatant violation. That's what they're getting sued over.
Yeah, right. They've tried to do the legislation several different times, and we're just not having it. We've already told them. We stood up in their little meetings, and various people have said you can legislate away, and we're still not going to do it.
Mad Mom is asking if we've signed the petition to protect ballot initiatives. And I'm going to go ahead and ask you to go ahead and put that in our chat if you can. And that's on the YouTube side. That's actually pretty important. We haven't talked about it very much here, but our very own Casey Rich has really stayed on top of that, testified against it in Jefferson City, alongside people of note like Ron Calzone. We need to stop that because they're trying to raise the requirements for doing a ballot initiative in the state of Missouri from 7% of voters to 15% of, 7% of last ballots voters to 15% of last ballots voters, making it virtually...
And it has to be spread out amongst all districts,
All districts, yep. And that is a problem. If you could get us a link and throw that in the chat, I'd appreciate it, because actually we all need to say no to that. In fact, the very fact that people that we've known and trusted in Jefferson City for years that were big supporters of SEPA and were allies that are actually for this is really quite frightening to me.
Yep.
And like I said, Casey is our resident expert on that particular bill, and he's been fighting it tooth and nail. And we need to start talking about it now because it got through committee. I was hoping it would die there, but it did get through.
Yeah, it was funny. All the Republicans voted for it. The two Democrats voted against to get those two that I was testifying against.
Yep. So let's talk about something here real quick. I'm gonna draw a comparison here. We're talking about good people running for office. April is one of those good people running for office to unseat someone who is not so good. On the other side of it, you have what I can do as a private citizen. When I'm not running for office, I can start a ballot initiative to get something changed in my state, to get rid of a bad law, or to prevent something from happening. Or what I've wanted to do all along is redistrict the Senate to 1 senator per 3 counties, so that we have proper representation in the state of Missouri like the United States government does. This way, Kansas City and St. Louis and cities like that can't take over the state. And so that's a long story. We've talked about it a while ago. I don't want to talk about it a whole lot tonight. But that would take a ballot initiative to get that done. And that's a good idea to get something like that done. And so what we should see now, what April just talked about, how they try and discourage good people for running for office, what they're doing now is they're trying to discourage good people from getting ballot initiatives done to correct problems in their state as well. We've never said on the show, nor have we conveyed in any way, that Missouri is a perfect state. We're not perfect. We're far from it. But we're working very, very hard to become the freest state in the entire 50 United States. We'd enjoy a little more competition if there were some out there. New Hampshire is about it. But at the same time, I thought I'd draw that comparison to let you guys know that sometimes when your state seems like it's free, but they do stuff like this ballot initiative, you have to be very wary of what they're doing. When they go after good people, try to smear their reputations or threaten them in some way. You know, this is why good people don't want to run for office. April is running, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more. Did you have misgivings about running for this office? I mean, did you have to think about it for a while, or was it a snap decision? How'd that happen for you?
Well, I've been thinking about it for actually years, and what would be the best way to do something. But my biggest concern is the voting system, more than anything else.
Okay.
Because it's corrupt.
Can you give us an example of what happened up there?
Understatement.
Yeah, it is corrupt. I mean, but do we have any stuff from the last election there that kind of cropped up in your county at all or anything?
Oh, yeah. See,
okay.
We have a mayor's race and city council race that is supposed to be nonpartisan, okay? But of course, it's always partisan. And what happens is the Democrats stuff as many people as they possibly can in, and that are Democrats, okay? And stuff as many pretend Democrats and call themselves Republicans, okay, on the ballot. So you'll have, and nobody knows whether the Democrats are Republicans unless you actually study, all right? And we have such trouble getting a conservative, one, to run, so that when it comes down to it, the odds are in the favor of 2 Democrats being at the top of the ticket from the primaries to be running as mayor. Well, that's what happened this time too. So we had 2 Democrats at the top and a Republican, and then we had some other that called themselves Republicans. There's no way it was going to happen. Okay? So because of absentee ballots that were already counted prior to the election day, the amazing thing was the one who was the Republican lost the second position with 106 votes, which was the same amount of votes that was absentee voting at the nursing home. I know.
Okay.
It's like, oh, really? Actually, it was 107. It was 107 votes from that nursing home, and she lost by 106. Okay, so that's already suspicious to begin with. The other thing is now, okay, the 2 Democrats, one was the current mayor, and one was, he's a state representative who never shows up for his job, so he's never even been to a city council meeting. But these are the 2 that are up there. They're both Democrats. And what happens? The mayor, current mayor, because nobody likes her, she drops out. So guess what? There's only that one guy. They already knew it was going to happen. They already knew who they wanted. They already knew, and this was pre-planned.
Sure.
So now we're using our write-in to put in a Republican in there. But the problem is, I think this Republican already knew what the deal was and was already planning to be the write-in.
Okay.
Yeah. It's totally rigged. And then if you look at the figures that the state has different figures than Jackson County. So when Jackson County says we have this many people who voted in this election, Jackson County has something completely different. And it's about 22,000 votes difference between what the state is reporting and what Jackson County is reporting. And that's for the last clear back to 2014. This is why I'm concerned.
Yep.
It's a bit of an understatement.
Has anyone else who's running for commission there been expressing concerns of this, or they seem quite comfortable with that situation that they've created?
I would say that they don't seem as concerned about it as I am. I think they think that they can overcome it with, like trying to beat that 10% that they always try to get. You know, because every year they push their numbers up 10%, 10%, 10%. And the reason that they do that is so that when it supposedly flips blue, when they decide to flip it blue, no one will notice at all.
Yep.
They'll just go, gosh, that's the way it is.
Yeah, it was natural. It just it was organically, it became blue. Yeah,
right.
We know that's not the case. This is why we have to do what we have to do with our Senate, in my opinion. But that will take a ballot initiative. By the way, Mad Mom did put up the link in YouTube for the ballot initiative. I'll share that with everyone on Discord here in a little bit. Let me read a few comments here real quick. Jay Spark says, it's not government's duty nor privilege to protect our safety. Their duty is to protect our rights. That is correct. That is the first job of anyone who swears an oath in office, is to protect everyone's rights. Also, Aurora Borealis put out something that you guys need to know if you've not read this. This is pretty bad. My daughter, who works for a PD in the St. Louis area, told me they were given a memo last week about how bad SEPA is for the police. She tried to explain it, but Aurora thinks, well, gosh darn it, it's her daughter's just not understanding this. So yeah, so guys, so we need to be prepared for this. Now that we know that they're passing out memos, and the reason I say this,
they're propagandizing their police forces too.
Yeah, but it's worse than that, because actually there was supposed to be SEPA training, of course, from the Missouri Police Chiefs Association and from the Missouri Sheriff's Association. There was supposed to be SEPA trainings. But now what we're getting is memos telling them how bad it is that people have their constitutional rights, apparently. So now we're aware of it. And by the way, April, I don't know if I told you this before, we do happen to know for a fact that a lot of Missouri state politicians do watch this program. So they are.
Send them a message.
We can say, all we have to do is say it.
Understand the Constitution.
Yeah.
Why don't you get it out and start reading it? And then maybe you'll understand what it actually says. Because I have not noticed that a lot of politicians actually know what the Constitution says.
Yep.
Oh, read it and then look at the debates, and then also look at a 1790s dictionary so you know what those words are supposed to mean. It's a contract.
It shouldn't surprise any of us that this is happening in St. Louis. If this is happening in any town, Missouri, please leave something in the comment section. If you're watching later, please let us know. But now that it's happening in the St. Louis area, I've got a few people I need to contact. So I want to thank Aurora Borealis for that information. We're not going to put up with this too much longer, guys. This is getting pretty bad. When they're actually sending out memo. Go ahead, Jimmy. I know you wanted to say something.
I was just going to say that wouldn't have something to do with a certain radio personality, would it?
I have no idea. It might actually.
It might.
Yeah, Bo Matthews has been a staunch supporter of SEPA, and he's up in the St. Louis area, and he's had us on his show multiple times, and Mark Cox. So that may have something to do with it as well. But that nonsense is going to stop here real quick here. Basically, we're gonna make sure.
Mention, Patrick, she didn't mention the PD, did she?
St. Louis-based police department. Hey, Aurora, if you're comfortable, if you want to let us know more specific details of that police department, the city. If it was St. Louis,
it would have to be St. Louis City or St. Louis County, one or the other.
Okay. Well, there's
St. Louis County by far is a huge police department. They do a lot of policing for all the little municipalities,
I say some of the people in the St. Louis area need to start putting pamphlets up places. By that I mean, that's what I'm looking for. Leaflets, tack them up places as well.
Well, the thing of it is, Liberty, I live in this general vicinity. I'm not afraid to say it, I never knew anything about this. So it's not exactly like somebody's blabbing this information all over the place that, they're passing out leaflets and how bad SAPE is. They're keeping that on the down low because this is the first I've heard of it. And I live here.
What I'm saying is grocery stores, anywhere like that, put together a leaflet and post that stuff about what's going on there. Let that out in the open. Let the dirty laundry air.
Well, and that's a really great idea, but the quickest way that we have to do that is to call our radio friends.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, that's Jimmy. That's a real good idea. If you wouldn't mind making a phone call tomorrow, let's see if they've got some time on Thursday for us. I think we ought to make that known in the St. Louis area. My God, this has got to stop. We finally get our Second Amendment rights back in the state of Missouri, and we have subterfuge within our own law enforcement on this. And by the way, those of you go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that when I was in Jeff City the other day and we were protesting something, I had to say to one of the police officers there, he was trying to tell us that he was going to arrest us for trespassing if we blocked, which we weren't going to, block a certain area. And I said, you can't arrest us for trespassing. There's no victim.
Yeah.
There's no victim, so there's no crime. He kept saying, I'm going to arrest you for a crime. I said, there is no crime if there's no victim. And then I said to him, look, there's a lot of statutes on the books that are unconstitutional. And I said, you took an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of Missouri. And that means that not every statute is constitutional. So you need to think about that when you're trying to talk to people. You know what? He was flabbergasted. He didn't even know what to say.
Yep.
But that's the case. People need to think about that. Law enforcement needs to think about that. In fact, I think that they need to have constitutional training. If you can't pass a test on the Constitution, I don't even know why you're in law enforcement to begin with.
Yep.
Doesn't make any sense.
There's another fact. There's another thing in there too. It's oh God, what was I going to say? Government can't be a victim.
Of course.
Oh
it's
my
a
goodness.
Thing.
We have Jimmy's clone in here.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I know.
Don't tell me I've got two of me up on
there are, gosh darn
are.
it, those scientific experiments have gone horribly awry, Jimmy. Horribly.
Yeah, do me a favor, cancel the clone, will you? Give
Okay.
him a lethal injection.
All right. As long as he doesn't get mad with me.
No.
Okay. All right. Gotcha. Don't send in the clones, man.
We got to find a permanent way to get rid of that duplicate account.
Okay, gotcha. No problem, buddy. It was a nice surprise and a humorous one as well. Once again,
I can make a dozen of them if you'd like.
No, please don't.
No.
That's a lot of Jimmys to disconnect.
That's a lot of Jimmys to deal with. Yes, sir.
Okay, hang on. Yeah, probably St. Louis City. St. Louis City. Okay, that's what we're looking at. And Mad Mom says she'll contact her contacts. She'll call her St. Louis contacts. Okay, gotcha. That's what we needed to know, actually. Jimmy and I will do our very best to take care of it with a radio program that's local to St. Louis and see if we can expose that. We'll confirm it first once we get the police department from you, and then we'll go on the radio with it. But we're not going to put up with that nonsense. We're not going to put up with that nonsense. So
I still would really love to see something introduced next year. This just brings me right back to that with the whole police thing, and interference in what they do. Literally banning them in accordance with Article 1, Section 3 of the Missouri Constitution, banning them from engaging in the political process as official capacity or their unions.
Yeah, that's something. Go ahead.
Damn, Liberty, you do have a useful side.
Go ahead, April.
Caleb, you're a rocket scientist.
It's only kidding, you don't.
One thing that would really help with the police department and law enforcement is if we stopped using them as a money-making machine.
Correct. Bingo. Thank you. You got
That's
it.
not going to happen.
Yep, they're tax collectors, guys.
As long as there's one corrupt politician, he's going to use the powers that, to yank in more revenue. Yeah, we got to. You got to have some decent politicians, right?
Ticket quotas.
Exactly.
Or some straight up cops that just refuse to do it. But okay, sorry guys.
Well, the problem is we don't have the right criteria when we hire law enforcement to begin with. We're hiring people that don't know the Constitution. We are hiring them, and we're hiring people who just basically obey what they're told, and then they don't study what their actual job is. Okay, I think this is a huge problem. In fact, like in our area, crime is going up. It's 44% higher than it was. We should be hiring law enforcement that actually targets career criminals rather than sitting there and being the harassment arm of the city or the county. That's what they are. They're just, it's really annoying to me.
Okay, April, I'm sorry, but you are on the wrong side of the state because you got my vote.
Yep. Yep.
Come on over.
The other thing I got to say too is we got to quit with people got to quit with that collective back the blue thing, because that whole idea surrounding that is a collective idea that's like, it's a bootlicking ideology. It's like which flavor do you want, licorice or caramel? You can't apply collective ideas to individual positions because it's either they're all good or they're all bad. Collectivism just destroys everything it touches.
Yeah, another thing with that back to blue. I mean, as far as the average beat cop that's doing his job, nobody's got a problem with that. But we know where the problem is. It's more towards the higher ups. But the problem is you got that back to blue so strong that almost anybody's afraid to say something because like, oh, you hate the police or something.
Yep.
No, you just got to call out the corruption where the corruption is.
Mm-hmm. And if you pick on the piggy chiefs, then you've got you got the back of the blue crowd comes after you.
Yeah. Well, guys, this is tantamount to the same thing we've been dealing with. That if you disagree with something that's happening, in the government of people of color, you're called a racist. The racism thing is thrown around like crazy right now. And so anti-cop, you're anti-cop if you say, oh, God, my local police chief is corrupt. No, they're fine. You're just anti-cop. You're anti-police, and no, I got a serious problem with him embezzling money, actually.
Yeah.
Which is commonplace.
Yeah. And then trying to enforce things that are unconstitutional. I I really have a big problem with that. I have a super, super big problem with that because it's instead of being called to clean up the crime, which is, I'm telling you, if you target the career criminals, you're probably going to get about 75 to 85% of the crime under control. That's what I think, because they're the ones who are pushing it. Yeah. So and the other thing is, I think we really, really, really need to find out where the money's going.
Yes, we do.
Because if we can find out where the money's going, then we wouldn't have to keep doing this all the time and they keep going back to the people. Give us more money, give us more money, give us more money. I don't think they need more money. I think they need to find out what they've been doing with the money and then do what other people do and budget wisely. I mean, my God, our county actually spent $17 million to get an outside firm from Texas to come in here and assess people's property to see if they could raise it over 15%, which is what they're going to do. Okay? Like, so you could have taken that $17 million and spent it somewhere else. That's one thing. Plus, we're going to get a $68 million COVID relief check. And you know how much our county executive put in for businesses? $150,000. Ooh, that's COVID relief. What? I can't even believe it.
Well, they're too busy spending all that money with Texas businesses, apparently.
Federal money. Federal money.
So where's most of it going?
We don't know. They won't tell us. I know we have the Sunshine Law, but see, this is another problem with the Sunshine Law. Okay? It comes out redacted.
You know, they used to put out, counties, the municipalities, and the states used to put out comprehensive annual financial reports.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look hard enough through those books, you can find the cash and investment funds, and it lists everything, what all the revenue goes towards, and you know, as far as investments and stuff like that. But man, you can't find those anymore, and a lot of them they quit doing.
Yeah.
They quit listing it.
What I want to do is I want to see the back of the check. I want to see who actually endorsed that check and where that money went. I don't want to see the budget, and I also want to look at the contracts, because I bet you there's something wrong with these contracts.
I want to hear more about this redacted Sunshine
They're just
Law.
gonna love you.
That's
there,
an understatement.
They're gonna love you if you get elected. They're just gonna love you. Citizenry will.
Don't get abstained.
Hey guys,
no, man,
let me interrupt for a second here. If you guys like what you hear, I have been putting into the YouTube chat April's website, her YouTube channel, and she is running for government, and she's one of the good guys. She is real. If you guys want to, even if you're not in the state of Missouri, contribute to her running against that corruption in the Kansas City area, please feel free to do so. Any shekels you can throw her would definitely help her out in her endeavor. In fact, I'm going to be donating to her tonight as well. You know, you bet. I believe in you, April. I mean, we need more people like you. And once again, coming from a guy, and this is tough for me too, because I have been asked on multiple occasions to run for office, and I keep saying no. I can do more damage to the corrupt politicians from the outside, and you know, this organization is a very, very big part of that. And so that's kind of where I feel my niche is. We go after the state mainly, though, but we definitely need to concentrate on our cities and our counties here in Missouri, because once again, the more corrupt our cities and counties are, the more emboldened our state will be to be corrupt. It all starts
particularly
at
as
home.
much when it comes to you know, the bigger cities like Kansas City, St. Louis, Columbia, you know, Rolla, some other cities.
Yep. So at any rate, if any of you like what you hear so far, by the way, April's YouTube channel is prolific. She goes on, and by the way, I'd like to say a few things here that April didn't even expect. I want to let you guys know I've been listening in on April's channel here for the last week. And although a lot of it is preaching to the choir, you know, for me listening to it, because a lot of it's stuff I already knew, there's some I didn't. But what I enjoy and I keep going back for is I'm so entertained while she's telling me, you know, how corrupt things are in her county. She's pretty funny to listen to. And so basically that keeps me coming back for more. But the thing is once you listen to videos on her channel and you watch these videos, you'll find out very quickly she is not a politician. And that's exactly who we need going into government, is non-political entities. We have got to get rid of these career politicians, people looking for stepping stones. Yeah, the parasites, that's right. You know, so politician, remember guys,
I
Latin.
agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
You know, I watched some of her videos. I like when she was telling I don't know who the hell was that little guard or sheriff's guy that said you had to put your face diaper on.
Yep.
I was laughing my butt off. I was thinking, yeah, the guy needs a good clubbing.
Yep.
Yeah.
They still have those mask policies in the county courthouse?
No, they got rid of them.
They finally got rid of them?
Is that recent,
so
April?
I know on the
I was able to file papers because of that.
I know on the day they passed that or whatever everybody was there for, You'd think the mask would have came off right then. Boy, they made us wear them all the way out that building. But they're done now, huh? Good.
Well, there's a psychological thing here that happened from the very beginning. See, my dad happens to be a social psychologist, and there's something called the 14 times principle. And it takes 14 times of doing something to make something a habit. So 14 days to flatten the curve.
Yep.
Get it?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. As soon as I knew exactly what they were doing, they were doing this psychological thing, because then people would feel more comfortable by doing it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, one thing that's kind of surprised me, I'm going to say real quick, then you can go, Caleb, is that technically I should be dead by tomorrow. I mean, I did not take the beer flu serum. Joe Biden did tell me, he said that I would either be dead or clogging up a hospital like a piece of human cholesterol, you know, selfishly taking away bed space from other people. And so, but at any rate, this may be the last time I talk to you, April. I expect to be dead by morning.
Patrick, I didn't take it either, and they've been trying to kill me for a couple of months now.
Yeah.
And still haven't been successful.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, Jimmy. And I'm glad you're still with us. I love you, man. I love you.
Yeah. I have not really changed my behavior this whole time. I've still gone to the same places, the same stuff, you know. And when they tried to accost me, I'm like, well, until something is different, this is still a free country.
Yep. Well, for now.
I never, this entire time, from day one, I never did any of this crap. Any of it. I went wherever the hell I wanted to go, did whatever the hell I wanted to do, didn't care. Because I already knew.
Called on me several times.
Oh, I knew when this stuff was still, you know, in China, which that's a whole other thing in itself, that it was bullshit from day one. Day one.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I've had the cops called on me a couple times, and, you know, it's like, well, whatever. I mean,
yeah.
I've been threatened with trespassing a couple of times. But see, here's the problem. All right. Now, it's different if I went into a store and it was, you know, they were having a big fuss, and I was going to, because I don't want to patronize that store anyway. All right. I'm not going to spend my money there. But when it is somebody who's got something that I need to have, like, for example, I went to the driver's license bureau to get my plate, my plate for my car. Okay. And they emailed me and told me they had it. So it's not like I went in there because just something arbitrary. I went in there to go get something that they told me was there. And when I got there, I swear I was probably at least 40 feet from the closest person. Literally, it was way far away. And they were having a cow about me not complying. So I said, look, all I want is my plate, and I'll get out of here. I'll just show you my ID, whatever. Well, this was during the very beginning, and you had to send in your papers to them to get it back. So the guy, he wouldn't even talk to me at all, called the cops. They come over. The cops said, we're not the police for this. Why don't you just give her stuff? And they finally complied after calling a whole bunch of different places. And then they said, we need your papers. I said, those are the papers I sent to you. I mean, you'd think that you could just show your ID and get your stuff. But no.
Your paper, bitte. Your paper, bitte.
I guess. So I turned to the cops and I said, look, are you going to arrest me? Are you going to pull me over every 5 minutes because I have this tag, this temporary tag on my car? And I said, you can see right here, they're not giving me my tag. And they said, no, we're not. So 2 years later, I still got the same tag. They don't even know where my plate is. It's like, really? I can't even believe it.
Just give the government something to do. They'll screw it up. They'll find a way.
Yeah.
Sherry Molina goes, Event 201. Now they have the nuclear scenarios planned.
Yep. Pretty
Yeah,
much.
I see a bunch of
Patrick,
false
I could
flags
get a
coming out of
lot
that
more
stuff.
colorful than that, but I know it's a family-run channel.
It is.
What government can do, they can mess up. Yeah, you know where I'm going with this.
It's more than just government. It's global elites, but that's a whole other conversation. That it's not good for YouTube. It's better for Odyssey and things like that.
Yeah, there you go. Different platforms.
Yeah, you have
We should do another one of those. We should do one. Patrick, we should do another one of those pre-recorded and have her back on here and
Sure.
whoever else.
Sure. Sure. Well, we could talk about things without using code words, basically. Yep. So
I can say when I remember one time when I was out in Manhattan, Kansas, and there's a Dillon's out there, and I went in there for several times, and because I had an ex that lived out there, and one time I go in there and the manager walks up to me and says, "You're gonna need to put this on, or you're gonna have to leave." I told him where to shove it, and then I left the cart there for him to take care of.
there you go. You know, that's a thing. You know, we talk about this all the time, too. We have to shun these corrupt people in government. We have to shun them. We have to do it publicly. Publicly. You know, I have so much
Patrick,
respect
you know
for...
what? Hey,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I totally agree with that. I literally believe that they need to be verbally belittled publicly. It's like, are you some kind of freak, dude? You're voting for what?
Yeah, but you know what they do?
They
get the school boards get the FBI to start investigating parents when they're, going after school board members that are doing things that the parents don't like. This is what they do. April and I talked about, we all talked about this. There's always a mechanism to stop good people from getting good things done. Always. There's always a... So, but we have to. Go ahead.
All I can say is those lists prior to all this, just coming out of the Reagan administration, those domestic terror lists were already about 8 million people long. And then just recently in 2021, someone on a hot mic had said, we don't know what to do about these lists because they're too long. Don't let them stop you.
Yep. And doing the right thing is its own reward anyway. And what April's doing, running for office up there in Jackson County, she's doing the right thing. She is actually stepping up to the plate. She's willing to talk publicly about the corruption that exists in the county. Is there anyone else up there right now running for office that's also doing the same thing you're doing for another commissioner seat, maybe?
Not for a commissioner seat.
Okay.
The county executive, Preston Smith, and also Joe Nicola is running against, I think he's running against Searpoint, District 8.
Okay.
So there are some people, but the problem is everybody, they're so scared. They want to be nice. You know who I want to be nice to? The people. I don't care about the politicians. Okay? The people are the ones who are getting screwed. And it doesn't make any difference whether they're Republican or Libertarian or Democrat or whatever. They're getting screwed. And some of them don't even know it. You know? Yep. In this county, they're overtaxing the poorest people, not the richest ones.
Right.
It's the poorest ones. You know why? Because they don't fight.
They fight back. Yep, that's right. Mm-hmm. They're much more inclined to sit back and go, "Oh, that's just the way it is."
Exactly, because they just think that they don't have a voice. Yeah, they think that they don't have a voice. And besides that, they'd have to take off work to go down there and do all this stuff. They make it totally inconvenient for someone to be able to fight what's going on. And I don't blame these people. I don't see how anyone can have a full-time job and fight this stuff. I don't see how they can do it.
Yep. And that's a rough thing. I mean, we struggle with this all the time, the guys in this group, especially, me, who, runs the YouTube channel and the Discord and all that fun stuff. It's tough to find time to do it. It really is. Well, you work, you got a family. Yep. Go ahead.
I was going to sing your praises, Patrick. I mean, I didn't really get involved in this political nonsense until I was able to retire, but you still had your business going. I mean, you almost turned your business totally upside down and lost it because you were dedicated so much to SEPA. So, I mean, a lot of people owe you a lot of thanks, buddy. And I'm not afraid to say it publicly. You're a pretty cool guy.
Oh, thanks, Jimmy. But you know
You're
what?
welcome.
I'd do it again in a heartbeat. The people of Missouri deserve a lot better than what some of the politicians here want to dish them. And we're not willing to take it anymore. And, April Lejeune is running for that position. Hopefully she will inspire other people in the state of Missouri who watch this within the next 9 days before the window closes to run for a county office. Unseat the unsavory in your county. Do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
Just
you
run.
need to put that on a T-shirt, dude.
Yep.
They don't have to be
Unseat the
afraid.
unsavory.
Yep.
They don't have to be afraid of loudmouth politicians either, because you know what? One time, just so you know, people need to get a perspective. One time, I am a musician, all right? So, and I've been a musician almost all my life. And one time I was at this place and we were up on stage singing, and this light was shining down on this woman who was looking at me with a scowl, okay? And everybody else was having a great time except her. And I kept looking at her thinking, what's the matter with this woman? Okay. And then all of a sudden it hit me. Why do I care what she thinks when everybody else is having a great time? Why am I focusing on this one person when everybody else is having a great time? So then it started making me laugh. But the point is it's usually this big loudmouth brat in the corner that doesn't agree with you. That is usually the issue, and everybody else does agree with you. And they're just not in an uproar. Conservatives do not get in an uproar normally. So, don't feel bad when there's a big loudmouth brat trying to pull you down, because most likely, if you're saying something that's common sense, everyone else is going to get it and they're going to support you.
Sure.
There's a reason why I've always said, at least early on in these podcasts, I said, don't forget to bully and ridicule your local political parasites.
Yep. Yep. And we've got a story. In fact, I'll do a standalone video on this where Roy Blunt had one of his minions actually sue me personally over the name of the organization. So a lot of folks already know a lot about that, but I'll get into all the nitty-gritty details because it appears to be over. So now I can, talk about it. I didn't realize, that I had to kind of wait until, everything was done. But at any rate, yeah. So, Roy Blunt is another one of those, unfortunately unsavory politicians. For some reason, he kept getting voted in because he has an R after his name. And year after year after year, House of Representatives, then to the Senate. And he's done a lot of damage, to the American political system. He's a background
huge
operator.
Amount of damage, I agree.
Yep. He's a background operator. He did not.
I'd know a Blunt I didn't like.
Yep. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, he's bad news.
That was funny. I just now got that.
Okay, if anyone has any questions, type them in all caps in YouTube. If I missed them, I'm sorry. If you have any questions, for April. And hopefully April will come back and join us many times, during this campaign season. I'm sure you'll have stories for us, and then we can help get the word out.
We'll give her an open invitation, Patrick.
Absolutely. You could be here every
night.
Sunday night if you'd like, and join us for our podcast. We cover the state of Missouri, so we don't often.
I certainly will if I can. Sometimes we have things that are going on around here.
Sure. Well, you're running for office, so.
I know.
I got a question for you. Will you ever have a chance to debate your opponent? Do they have a platform for that up there?
I'd love to, and I'm sure that's never going to happen.
I think.
As far as this is what I've been told, and so far it seems to be true. Charlie Franklin never answers any questions from the press. So if that's the case, I highly doubt that he would want to engage in any kind of debate at all.
Yeah. So why is it that Democrats never want to debate, April? Why is that?
Because they look stupid.
They do. They can't defend their positions.
Proposition for them. It's a losing proposition.
And just get up in front of the microphone and say, listen, I am playing to everyone's emotions tonight. That's my job as a Democrat. So forget about logic, forget about reason, forget about, the mechanics of finance. Let's just deal with our emotions tonight. 9/11 was bad. Yay!
Kind of sounds like the angle that Keynesian economists take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Patrick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do we have the links for April's YouTube channel and stuff like that in the description?
In the description section, we have her Rumble channel, her YouTube channel, and her website are all in the description section of this live video. Even though, it'll take YouTube 24 hours to put up this video with the chat again, but the description section is static. So that will always be there on this video. And once again, I encourage... Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Somebody was asking, but I was pretty sure it was in the description.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for that. And once again, everyone, she is running, basically to unseat an unsavory character in a county that is currently suing the state of Missouri over the SEPA law that we all worked for. So guys, keep that in mind. I mean, she is someone that we definitely need in the county commission over there in Jackson County. And we need, hopefully, more people.
We're going to stop all this nonsense. All of it. When we're elected, myself, Preston, and the other, we have 7 people who are running right now. Okay. But I can't say that they're all as, how shall I say, vocal, but they will vote for the right thing when they get in office. That I know. But they're just not as vocal as I am.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, that's a thing. That you're not a politician. So no. You're not out there, basically trying to get a public position so you can be, shelling out a bunch of county money to your buddies. This is what a lot of them do, gang. I mean, this is what happens on the county. I live in Christian County, Southwest Missouri. That's what often happens is these people run for office that are business owners, and then what they do is they get their buddies who are also business owners to make sure they get the contracts for all the work around the county. And that's their sole reason for going into office. It happens a lot, gang. It doesn't name a county in Missouri. It happens. It happens at the city level too, and at the state level.
It does. And we have contracts right now that are crony contracts, which is what I call them. And I asked this guy who's running for mayor over here in Independence, are you going to look into these particular contracts that are by these certain people? You need to look at those contracts, because I guarantee there's something wrong with them. Every single one of them, I'm sure, because they're probably overbid and they're costing the people in Independence way more than they have to.
Yep. And that's what they do. They get these contracts to their buddies that are overbidding.
Sounds like the small scale version of military contractors.
It is.
And it's once again, it plays into the corruption that we talk about constantly that happens in every state. It's not just in Missouri. Guys, we're not a perfect state. I said this at the beginning of the podcast, but we are trying to clean it up. We do have corruption in the state of Missouri. We have it with the Missouri Sheriff's Association. We have it with the Missouri Police Chiefs Association. We have it with politicians up in Jeff City. We have it, in our counties and our cities. But guys, this corruption doesn't go away on its own. If you just sit back and wish it away, you're in for a bad time. So, you got to do what April's doing and what other people do. You got to run against it, expose it, ridicule it publicly. Roy Blunt hates my guts for these reasons. I publicly went after him back in 2000. And he still dislikes me.
Something just came to mind. Just came to mind. I was kind of drifting in my own thoughts there. I'm thinking, how I mentioned earlier about, say putting in a bill to ban law enforcement and whatnot from being involved in the political process regarding that pursuant to Article 1, Section 23. If they try to push back against it, isn't that
violation of SEPA?
No. If they push back against it, that could be, you could sue them for it because it's conflict of interest.
Yeah. Yep. I think it's time we engage in that type of behavior. That's actually something that I expect, basically the Democrat Party to do, which is use their own rules against them. So it's time we start employing the same exact tactics. Law enforcement.
However, there's one slight problem.
What's that?
And that is corrupt courts.
Yeah, they do have that.
That exists, but the one thing we have left here is that a Missouri Supreme Court is elected.
Yeah, but you're going to have to push it up there because, for example, which I call them the Communist Rhino Party. That's what I call these guys. Okay, and their leader is Parson. And Parson put in Jackson County, he put in another Democrat as a judge here. So now we've got 2 to 1. We've got 2 Democrats and a Republican. You're not going to win anything here. Not here. Now, you'd have to take it somewhere else.
Problem is, at that point, it's at the state level. So because you're dealing with the state legislature, you could sue them in state court surrounding conflict of interest on that bill, their interactions with it, and then you could take it to Cole County, which is the county that we got SEPA pushed through, and they approved of it.
Yeah, I'm just telling you that if these guys keep going like they're going, and Parson keeps doing what he's doing, their plan is to corrupt the court so much that they can push through anything they want.
Yeah.
Hey, Jay Sparks has a question. I'm going to ask if Caleb or if KC know anything about this. HB 2629. I know a few good people that fell under this bill. What's going on with it? You guys know anything about that bill?
2629.
Yep.
I don't know that one. Let me look it up.
We do, but I gotta be reminded which one it is.
LaTanya King wants to convey how much she loves you, April. Keep up the fight.
Well, thanks. Thank you very much.
So let's see. So true. Serve sheriff's writ with mandamus. I'm not sure what that means. So another thing, well, you guys look that up. I'd like to.
Sounds like a legal term to me.
Yeah.
Okay. HB 2629 of 2020. Oh no, that's 2020. Where are those 2021?
H is the offense of unlawful possession of a firearm by allowing persons who have completed their sentence for a nonviolent felony to possess firearm. It's been read a second time in the House.
That's
so it
something
hasn't
that's
gone to a committee yet.
Okay, that's something
they're gonna have to really push that thing hard if they want to get it through in time.
Oh, that's gonna piss off some cops too.
Mm-hmm. And that's something that we have to do in the state of Missouri now. We now are free of the federal regulation bonds for firearms. We're officially free of it now within the state. Now, the ATF can still come in and do what they like, but there's mechanics to deal with that as well. So it's time for us
doing that.
To
good luck doing that, because I mean, at most, if the only thing they have direct jurisdiction over it is an FFL, and if they decide to try to investigate like what they're trying to do at the federal level, well, at most the only thing they'll get is one ATF agent that'll show up at your door and ask if you have it, and well, that's not the smart move on his part for a lot of reasons.
Hey, I just looked at that bill 2629. Last time there's anything with it, it was read a second time in the House back on February the 6th, and it's now March the 20th, so that thing hasn't even made it to a committee yet.
Okay, gotcha.
That bill's pretty much dead, unless you can get hang on, who's our House guy?
Jared Taylor?
No, Rob Vescovo. You'd have to go up to him, contact him, and ask him if he's ever going to send that bill to a committee, because he's the guy that puts the bills to committee on the House side.
Vescovo.
Rob Vescovo. He's Speaker of the House.
Yeah.
And that thing hasn't moved. That thing was read back on February the 6th, and it's now March 20th. So, and it hasn't even been assigned to a committee. So he's not moving that bill. So you might want to, I would say if you still want to do something, you might want to call him and say, hey, is that bill ever going to get sent to a committee? Chance is probably slim to none at this point.
Yep.
But you never know.
Yeah, we're getting pretty late. For it to not even be assigned to a committee, I have a feeling that's going nowhere this year. So, but it is, it's a good example of the kind of things we can do in Missouri, the things we can get done now, because we literally do not acknowledge, our law enforcement in the state of Missouri does not acknowledge, the federal gun laws. Let me say one more thing here about that. And April's with us here too, so she can hear our position on this. Law enforcement should not be involved in making laws that involve law enforcement, because they have qualified immunity. For that reason alone, they should be exempt. They should not be able to go up and lobby. They shouldn't be able to do anything, because, basically we, the people, make the laws, and we hire them to enforce the laws that we have chosen. to live under in the state of Missouri. When law enforcement, actually starts making the laws, that's where corruption begins. And there's all kinds of corruption in the state of Missouri that involves drugs and in things, that law enforcement deal with directly. And this is a problem for us here in the state of Missouri with the southeastern Missouri, with the police chiefs and prosecutors and some sheriffs all going up against SEPA, when that seems to be a hub for heroin coming in from Asia. And where it gets redistributed across the United States seems to be in that area. They've not been able to solve the problem there. And that's a weird thing that they're saying that SEPA is hurting them in this regard. And so because they can't have the ATF come in and help them.
Kind of sounds similar to Fast and Furious, eh?
It does.
Mm-hmm.
It does. And so, that's one of our problems that we're dealing with right now, is the fact that law enforcement seems to want to inject themselves into any gun law that we have in the state of Missouri, yet the people are supposed to make the laws through the legislature.
And that is reinforced by Article 1, Section 3 of the Missouri Constitution.
Correct. So what happens when you have a bunch of sheriffs and police chiefs lobbying your legislature in your state, and suddenly they start getting their way with the legislatures? What can you do at that point? I mean, you call it out for sure. That's what we're doing right now on this program, and we've done it in other programs before. You call it out. It's a problem. If any senator or representative in the state of Missouri is watching this program, it is not the job of law enforcement to make the laws or even suggest what laws. Yes, they can tell you the problems they're having in law enforcement. No one's stopping them from doing that. However, they don't make the laws, and they certainly don't suggest them. And I wonder if John Rizzo's bill was written by someone at the Missouri Sheriff's Association or someone at the Missouri Police Chiefs Association, because I don't think Rizzo wrote it. But this is...
Maybe we should ask Rizzo.
Yeah, well, Rizzo won't return my phone calls. No. Go ahead, April.
I'm going to say it. I don't think he's smart enough to write one. Just saying.
Yeah.
Okay? That's one thing.
I think he is.
I don't. Have you heard him talk?
Yeah.
Don't let that fool you. He's the latest of a whole line of Rizzos that's been working in Jackson County
for a reason. Okay, just saying. Okay,
he couldn't do it. One of his uncles or something.
Well, there's two things about what you're saying that should be taken into consideration. One is they are not supposed to make any laws that are unconstitutional. That's right in the Missouri Constitution. And when these guys continue to make laws on guns, they're not constitutional to begin with, because the Second Amendment does not say it shall not be infringed unless you have a felony, unless you have this, unless you have that. And I can tell you, the drug dealer on the corner has a gun, okay? And the only thing that those gun laws are doing is regulating good people, which is stupid, okay? Because a criminal is a criminal for a reason. They're not going to obey a law. And so far, every time you ask one of these people, show me where a criminal is going to obey that law, they can never do it. So every time they do something like this, it's just for the people who would already common sense do the right thing anyway. Mm-hmm. So I don't see how making laws that are unconstitutional benefit anyone except them. That's one thing. And the Supreme Court has already ruled over and over and over again that if they do make laws that are unconstitutional, the people do not have to do them. They're not nullable or voidable. They're already null and void. That is written in Supreme Court case law. Mm-hmm. So what we've got happening here is law enforcement enforcing things because they've been told to, not because they're upholding the Constitution. And every one of these politicians in the state of Missouri, the House and the Senate, well, even the U.S., but the House and the Senate, these guys are a little bit more important, I think, than the U.S., are doing things continually that are infringing on people's rights. There should not even be a reason to have a law like that, because it's already unconstitutional on the face before the ink dries. Mm-hmm. This is what irks me so much is the people do not understand if it's already unconstitutional, they don't have to do it. And unfortunately, what's happened is these politicians have been using law enforcement to strong arm people into submission in things that are unconstitutional. We've been put in these little boxes of obedience because we are not taught that we actually have a choice. That really is disturbing to me.
Well, what's worse is, you know, and I know that they're not teaching people what their rights are in the public school systems here in America, but what's worse is people aren't likely to pick up a copy of the Constitution and read and find out what limitations on government are and what their rights are, you know, basically the Bill of Rights. You know, for instance, there's still people that are incredibly bothered by what we did here with SEPA, which was 100% constitutional because of the 10th Amendment and, of course, you know, anti-commandeering doctrine. And that's got a long history. A long history, 200 years of court history. It's been tested. It's been battle tested. Yet these police chiefs and these sheriffs are still, nope, this is unconstitutional. John Rizzo, nope, SEPA's unconstitutional. So either, you know, John Rizzo knows and, you know, he's playing dumb, or he's just plain dumb. And either one of them is a disturbing indictment, you know, of who the man is.
Or he's just playing to his party.
Yeah.
Oh, there's... I see like this
him from being a politician in the first place. Either one of those things disqualifies him from being in office.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Because
the other thing too is,
go ahead. Caleb.
I'm kind of picturing, you know, one of those NPC memes, you know, where it's just the whole group of politicians just standing around there going unconstitutional. It's all unconstitutional.
Yeah. Yep. And that's the card they played during SEPA, you know, after it got passed. You know, John Rizzo sat back very smartly being interviewed by, what's that guy's name, Casey Rich, on that YouTube channel, Missouri Times or something, or
Scott Vaughn.
Scott Vaughn, you know, so he's interviewing, you know, John Rizzo after SEPA passes, and he's sitting back smartly, got his legs crossed and everything. And he says, no, it's totally unconstitutional. It won't survive in court. I'm not worried about it. And then, of course, what does he do? You know, a few months later, he drafts legislation to make SEPA completely illegal in the state of Missouri. You know, after it's had its day, its first day in court, it's currently enjoying its third day in court right now. We're still waiting for the results to come back from the Missouri Supreme Court, by the way. But everyone's saying there's just no way they can get rid of it or call it unconstitutional. So. But at any rate, I hate to bring up SEPA, you know, as many times as we have, you know, with you on here. We know how you feel about SEPA. You definitely believe in the SEPA legislation. And not only that, that should be the benchmark from this point forward to determining whether or not someone is truly an advocate of the Second Amendment as they're running for office. Do you believe in Missouri SEPA, where the federal government no longer lays claim, you know, to your laws in your state anymore? Your state can make, you know, get away from the federal gun laws. Basically any law that, you know, against or for guns is against the law anyway, as you said, April. So
it is.
So
I mean, it's kind of like,
go ahead.
If it's a law about guns, it's unconstitutional. I mean, regulating guns. I mean, I've had this conversation now probably for the last 3 or 4 years with various people, trying to get them to wrap their mind around the fact that if you're trying to regulate guns or weapons, really, it's weapons, guns in particular, it's unconstitutional. It is a simple sentence that even a child can understand.
Two notes on this. Do you know what St. George Tucker called acts of usurpation? He called them treason against the sovereignty of the people. Second off,
treason,
treason against the sovereignty of the people. Oh God, where was I going? I forgot already. Oh yeah, if I can't go on Amazon and buy an RPG or a tank with a live main gun, then my rights are being infringed upon.
Well, that could be true, I suppose.
Do you really want to enrich Jeff Bezos in your quest, you know, for your armaments? I mean, come on, man.
It's figuratively speaking.
Go to a mom and pop online store, man. Don't go to Amazon.
okay, if I can't go down to the corner store and just go drive off the lot with a tank with a live main gun, then my rights are being infringed upon.
Okay, there you go.
That is true. And people, you know what? We had this conversation with somebody, and it was so absurd. It's so absurd. This guy was saying, you know, well, it should be illegal to own nuclear weapons. I'm like, okay, well,
it's technically not. You know,
exactly.
It's actually technically not. If you got the clearance for the nuclear material and the explosives for the rocket, you could file it under Form 1 as a destructive device.
Yep.
And own an ICBM.
The point being, the Second Amendment didn't say except for nuclear weapons. But who's going to do that in their backyard?
Patrick,
you know,
there's something seriously wrong with him.
I mean, the likelihood of somebody doing
that. They know how to put it together.
I'm teasing, Liberty. I'm teasing.
It's a technicality, though. You actually can. The way the legal structure is surrounding it, you could pay $200 to the ATF and get the nuclear clearance and that, and you could privately own an ICBM.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the idea of the Second Amendment was to keep the government in check. So, you know, if they have it, you're supposed to be able to have it. If that's the whole point. But, you know, the only reason I think we're not Canada right now is because we have the Second Amendment. Just saying.
Yeah, the only.
In some regards, we're actually worse than Canada, though.
Well, yeah, but I don't think preachers are getting arrested right now for keeping their... Well, some are in California.
In New York, they rounded up the Jews in the first part of this stuff, so...
Yeah, that's true.
American...
New York?
Yeah, New York. The Italians rounded up the Jews.
I know.
The start of this last 2 years. I mean, it's kind of familiar.
Just so you know, at the very beginning of this whole thing, I was wearing this. I would go out to the store with this on.
Did you? Wow.
I did. Because, and people were like, what is this? I'm like, well, you know, they're treating me like this because I'm not doing the commie cover thing.
Yep. That's right.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Making a statement. I mean, because people don't get it if you just talk to them.
I picture this iron gate with a thing across the set. Tosses, Die Vaccine macht frei.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you got to get nervous when you hear the rumbling of the train coming down the tracks into your town and everything, you know.
The gates that say Die Vaccine macht frei, and you have the little things. Or what is it? What's the word I'm looking for? You get cops walking up to you saying, "Your papier bitte." Papers, please.
Well, we're not supposed to have to carry papers. We're not supposed to be having to do all these things that, you know, because what is your ID? It's a paper, right? You're not supposed to have to do all those things in the United States of America. But I don't think people understand their sovereignty. They don't understand that you individually are sovereign from your city or your county. And just because your county wants to jump off a bridge or your city wants to jump off a bridge doesn't mean that you have to do it too. That's the beauty of the Constitution.
That's a great point, April. That's a great point because that's what's happening right now, isn't it? Eric Schmidt says it's illegal for these school districts to have, you know, face diaper orders. And the counties say, screw you to the state. Screw you. We're not, no, we want face diapers on our kids and we want to force them to do it. And Eric Schmidt keeps saying, no, this is a parent's choice deal. This is not a health department deal. This is not a school district deal. But you're right. You're absolutely right. Go ahead. I'm sorry for interrupting.
Well, you know, we pay people to harass us. The health department, what are we even doing? We pay the health department like restaurants. What is the reason for the health department? Don't tell me it's inspections because you can bribe them. They are bribed. You go into these restaurants and they have terrible kitchens. They have all kinds of violations. So obviously the health department isn't working. It's
just builds your immune system.
It's just a harassment committee. And if there's a bad restaurant, then no one's going to go there. It's the same thing with business licenses, okay? Business licenses are a false sense of endorsement. And I know you guys are going to be like, oh, well, that's crazy. But listen to what I'm saying. The Supreme Court has ruled on this also, that you cannot take a right, turn it into a privilege, and charge a fee. That's what a business license is, right? It is your right under the Constitution to have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And if that means that you want to be able to open a business, you should be able to do that without paying a fee.
That's right.
And then what does the city do? The city comes back and they say, oh, well, if something happens to you in that business, like let's say that they have a business license and I go in there and I get sick from their bad food, okay? Is the city going to have responsibility for that, or are you? You are, because you're the one that carries the insurance. The city says they don't want to have anything to do with it. It's the same thing with construction companies. What happened to the Hyatt Regency? Okay, did they have all those people have business licenses? Yes, they did. And 200 and some odd people died because of bad construction. Okay, did the city get sued? No, because they don't take responsibility for the inspections that they dole out.
That's right, and so charge you for.
Yes. So why
charge you handsomely, by the way?
Oh yeah, absolutely they do. And anybody can go in and get a business license for anything if they just pay a fee. It's a false sense of endorsement. You're the one who has to carry the insurance. You're the one who has all the liability. We are literally paying these people to harass us. That's what we're doing. And I'm against that too.
And by the way, April, I happen to know for a fact, I'm a contractor myself. I'm self-employed IT guy. And most cities, by the way, if some of you ever heard this before, I'll bet you April knows this. Most cities, the business license is literally a city slush fund. It doesn't go into general revenue. It stays into a slush fund that they can do whatever they want with. And it's not, and I'm sure they account for it at some point in time, but it doesn't become general revenue. It doesn't pay city bills. It's special funds, Christmas parties, you know, and things. That's what, guys, I kid you not. I could name off some cities right now that I know for a fact where they use business licenses to pay for Christmas parties. The city of Ozark, Missouri, city of Aurora, Missouri did that. So yeah, this is just their little fun slush fund, and they charge us to have a license so they can have Christmas parties. Hey, I guess that's a Christmas present from the businesses to the city employees for doing nothing. Is what it is. But
then you go up to the counter to try to get some work done because you need something filed or whatever, and they are so rude to you. It is unbelievable that we are paying the salaries of these people to be rude to us. And look at the county clerks. You go in there to file a document that isn't under the norm, and they're questioning you. They're not attorneys. They can't give you legal advice. File the paper. Who are you people? I don't understand this at all. Who died and made the county clerk the Lord and God over our documents that we want recorded? Why do we want these documents recorded? Because they're something we want on public information. It's something that we're going to use at some point. And so I cannot believe the amount of people that we have put in places that will not just serve the people. That's what they're there to do, is serve the people, not rule over them. And this is what I'm getting sick of. This, I don't know about you, but I'm getting really sick of it.
Yeah. And by the way, April, go ahead, Caleb. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I was going to add in there, I'll add in this too. By the way, black markets are in fact free markets.
They are indeed.
But, it's true. Black markets are free markets.
Yeah. But we complain a lot. But guys, if you want to change this, run for office and change it. I mean, this is not just standard sit around complaint fest. Yeah, it's time for good people to run for office to change these things. Once again, we talk about the big problems, the big corruption, the big contracts going out to these corporations that are friends of people who are in office right now. That's fascism is what that is. But let's talk about the microcosm stuff. What April brought up, the business licenses. I'm glad you brought it up, April. I used to complain about that all the time, but I forgot about that. It's slush funds for cities. That's all that business license thing is. And it's their fun money. It's their fun money.
On that.
Go ahead.
A note on that. I think they could just get rid of this and just go back to potluck.
They might as well do potluck. Instead of having the catered Christmas parties, with having an elf jump out of a cake, whatever they do. I mean, I don't know how they do those parties.
The people tried. the people try really, really hard to do what they think is right, okay? Because they've been taught all their lives that you do this, you do this, you do this, do this. They do not even think that it's unconstitutional. They don't even know that it's unconstitutional. And if the people understood that these people are milking every single dime they can get out of you and started pushing back and saying, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do this anymore, and got together collectively and said, we're not doing it, then they could push back against these people. I mean, I really sincerely hope that it really is the 10% to 15% that we're going to have to need to be able to actually win our election. I'm hoping that they don't try to push it like they did with the Trump deal, where they were like, our hair's on fire, we got to make up some more stuff, like right now.
Yep.
And then throw it all in there. Oh, you never win.
So
let's make up some ballots.
we, the people here in the chat, says only if one is operating in commerce or licenses required. Not necessarily, because you look at the Interstate Commerce Clause in the Constitution, you look at the term regulate, it means to make efficient, not to restrict you or control you. So that's another note there. Also, this whole thing kind of reminds me of, remember when there was that, in the middle of all this crap in the last couple of years, there was the Chaz thing that was over in Seattle,
Yeah. Yes.
And during that time, like all these little commies were running around. It's like, hey, let's they're charging, basically there are other groups in there that were kind of charging them to operate in certain areas of the autonomous zone. And the most hypocritical thing I ever saw come out of that, and this isn't an endorsement of Chaz, this is a flat out call out of hypocrisy, because some police chief popped up and said, if they are charging you to operate in a certain area within this zone, that is the act of extortion. And is a
yeah, that would be true.
And they continue to do exactly that. The hypocrisy.
I know.
Like,
that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
It's laughable. It's laughable. It's like, what? You can't look at yourself in that situation and go, you can't pause for 2 seconds and think to yourself, oh, I'm doing this too. But no, it's a government good guy. Government do that. Government good do that.
Well, you see, that all we have to do is just see who is more efficient at, just doing nothing. Was it the Chaz government or was it the Seattle government? Who is more
extorting people.
That's correct, in extorting people. Not to mention, extorting people on the outside as well as on the inside. This is just a game, folks. This whole thing with government. But the thing we have to understand, this corruption does not go away on its own. It doesn't. It will fester. It'll get worse. It'll breed. We have to point it out publicly. Now, people are afraid to do that. I've done it before, and I've been escorted away by police before, for actually doing the right thing in a public event for a politician. So that's happened to me, gang. They don't arrest you. They just take you away from where the speech is, and then they just let you go. That's all there is to it. And and by the way, I didn't do anything unseemly. All I did is point out 2 lies that Roy Blunt had said in that particular, town hall meeting. But I think,
and if the cops were actually doing their job, they wouldn't have escorted you anywhere.
Yep. No, that's true. Because that's my right as a citizen. He was my representation. He was lying to us. And so, but he just can't let bygones be bygones. He had to come and sue me here while he was still in office, I guess. So it's just Roy Blunt's way. But that's what we do.
I'm surprised that hasn't sued me yet. I mean, we were in the hallway there in the Jeff City, right by his office actually, and he came out of the Karoff meeting, where he introduced Karoff. By the way, the Karoff is the guy who they were trying to put as the director of the health department here, who wanted to, how shall we say, accost everyone in the state. at a rate of 100%. Okay, and then lied and lied during the entire hearing. But then out comes Schatz, and I said, you know what? You are a disgrace to the Republican Party. You are a disgrace to the conservatives. And he says, you don't know what you're talking about. I said, I know exactly what I'm talking about. I've been reporting on people like you for 30 years. And he said, well, you're just not very effective, are you? But see, he didn't realize that I was in a different state. So I said, I guess we'll see about that. And I gave him my card.
Yeah. And now he's running for Senate. And he is the only person running for Senate that's self-funded. Self-funded, April. Gosh darn it. He doesn't need the people. Yep. Yeah. It's the only a race in Missouri right now where other is doing better than an actual candidate.
When I looked at that statistic, I was like, oh boy, that is so embarrassing.
You mean other actually leads?
Other is doing better than Schatz. Or leads Schatz, yes. So, yeah. So Dave Schatz, I have advice for Dave Schatz. If you happen to be watching the show today, Dave, 1 million just ain't enough, dude. You need to put about 15 or 20 million of your own money into your campaign if you want to get any traction whatsoever. 1 million, in today's economy. Holy crap. Dave Schatz, since we're paying more for gasoline right now, I'm sure you know a thing or two about that. Maybe 25 or 30 million for your campaign to run for senator. That's a position that pays $175,000 a year, by the way. And Dave Schatz put $1 million of his own money into his own campaign, indicating, of course, that people aren't interested in donating to him.
Of course. Did you see that they were doing a fundraiser and the Communist Rhino Party leader, Parson, was doing a fundraiser for him?
Yep.
Oh, God, I saw that. That's disgusting.
Yeah. I'm like, if you don't think that Governor Mike Parson is part of the Communist Rhino Party of Missouri, then all you had to do was look at that. Because that was outrageous that he should even go there. And also to publicly scold us because we did not accept Karoff. Like, who do you think you are? You are not the guy. We didn't elect you to be our daddy. That's for sure. And so I'm really, really tired of them trying to tell us continually that we don't know anything. Did you know that Searpoint did that the other day?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. Searpoint came here the other day, and he was in a meeting where he was supposed to give a speech. Now, Joe Nicole is running against him, I'm pretty sure. And so Joe Nicole is giving a speech and talking about rhinos and all this kind of thing. So what does Searpoint do? He gets up there and he starts telling the people, us, that we don't know what we're talking about, that everything is just too complicated. You don't know how complicated everything is until you're sitting in the seat. So you can criticize us all you want to, but you just don't know what's going on. And I thought, you know what? We know exactly what's going on because we can read, okay? And you put out the bills, we can read them. We have reading comprehension. I mean, these guys are sitting here and thinking that we literally have no reading comprehension whatsoever. And I'm like, do you know how complicated it is to be a farmer today?
Yeah.
It gets we don't know anything.
It gets even more complicated when you start involving like Monsanto and whatnot. Then they'll try to sue you if you don't use their product.
Yep. There's a great
also
comment.
got one of those anti-ballot initiative bills too.
Yes, he does.
Latanya King says Parsons is grossly cheesy with Masonic BS. And that is absolutely correct. We pointed that out. If you guys ever see Parsons speak, look at his right hand. He's got his wedding band on his left hand. I have one too. But on his right hand, he's got his Mason ring on his ring finger on his right hand. So look for that.
Oh,
hopefully he doesn't take it off now because we talked about it publicly. But he's a pretty big Mason. So I'm not sure he's calling the shots. He may be controlled by other people. So we're just not sure about.
Of course.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying that ironically.
All of these people are controlled by someone else. In fact, a lot of times, like I did this to the election board, I invited them to a town hall meeting, which they didn't show up and we already knew they weren't going to. So in their places, I had their names and I had a little clown puppet in each one of their seats. Nice. Because I was like, this is who they are. And they had little strings on them and stuff. And so, yeah, That's exactly who they are. These
Hey,
politicians are clown puppets.
April, I have a question for you. Has anyone ever accused you of being a smartass before?
Yes. Yes, they have.
It's an honor to be accused
Everybody
of that,
should know
too.
that. It'd be Jimmy.
It is an honor to be accused of that as well. It really is.
KC, you're absolutely right.
Yep, but that's what we do.
Yeah.
Like
I just wish I could be as much of a smart ass as Jimmy.
yeah, Jimmy actually kind of wrote the book
I try every
on being
day.
a smart aleck. So notice I use the word smart aleck, Jimmy, because we're family friendly
I know,
here.
you
So
cleaned- you
I just thought I would
cleaned
throw
up.
that
You
out. Yeah,
cleaned it
I
up.
did.
Well, I mean, listen, when one smart aleck recognizes another smart aleck, she must be pretty smart alecky,
Yes.
right? Which
Indeed.
I like. I
Yep.
like that.
Well, I've got to say this, gang. April is real people. She is not a politician. She does care deeply about the people that live in the area that she lives in, and she really, really wants to clean up corruption. If you guys go to her website, you can actually donate to her. And so I strongly recommend that if you can. Please do help April to actually help draining the swamp in the Kansas City area. I don't want to say Jackson County so much because I think that throws people. Kansas City, everyone knows. But that's basically what she is attempting to do. She's actually putting herself out there to start the process of draining the swamp in Kansas City. And hopefully, not only will you run, but we'll get a few more people running that also want to help drain the swamp up there, because there's a lot of swamp creatures in Kansas City. There's a lot of them.
There are. There are. And I will tell you this already. Okay, so I am banned by Facebook. I'm banned by Twitter. I do have a Gab account, and I have a Telegram. So I post on Telegram more so than I do on Gab, but I'm starting to kind of use them both simultaneously. But every day from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock, I do broadcast. And then I'm going to start broadcasting on Thursday evenings at 7 o'clock p.m. across my channels, because I want the people of Jackson County, Kansas City area to be able to talk. I want them to be able to chat and talk about what's happening around here. Because I don't think that they get a voice when they go to these county meetings or these city council. It happens everywhere. They are shut down and they are not listened to. And a lot of times these people have something that they really, really have on their mind and they want to say. So I want to hear what they have to say. And I want to give them the opportunity to say it, beyond having to go to these ridiculous meetings where they get treated rudely and thrown out because the person doesn't like what they're saying. I hope that I would never throw somebody out of a meeting unless it was something where they were getting violent or screaming and yelling where no one even knows what they're talking about. I mean, you can come, a liberal can come and they can say whatever it is that's disturbing them. I personally think that there's a 2-minute time frame when you're up there. And if you can't say what you need to say in 2 minutes, I would rather make an appointment with you to see you beyond that time frame, so that we can actually sit down and talk about what it is that concerns them. And I don't think they do that. I think they normally just ignore people. But I would rather just sit down and talk with a person to see what actually is the problem, because they may have a valid complaint.
Yep. And, basically giving the people a voice or a forum is something that's becoming a rarity these days. Oftentimes when I go speak at public meetings like that, that 2 minutes, or in some cases 3 minutes, is taken up by someone that I'm addressing, on the city council or, basically in the county. And so I get really about 45 seconds to speak. And then the rest of my time is there, basically answering what I'm trying to say. And I don't get to convey everything I want because they immediately start trying to answer the first point when I've got 3 points.
Well, you should try going to the election board. They sit there like stone faces. They will not answer any questions whatsoever. They do not engage. You have to have, and at first they were giving everybody 10 minutes. Well, I'm the only one who took the 10 minutes. So then now they've lowered it to 5 minutes. And they will literally, they said, we are not going to answer any questions during a meeting. And I said, I remember during one of the meetings, I said to them, you are responsible to us. You have a fiduciary responsibility to us. And the Democrat, Henry Carner, says, we're not responsible to you. I was like, excuse me? What do you mean you're not responsible to us?
Excuse you, mofo?
Yeah.
What? I mean, this is why I put
That dude's got to go.
Mm-hmm.
I know. But unfortunately, the election boards are appointed by the governor.
Yeah. A lot of appointed positions out there, and that's one of the problems that we have with federal court is appointed judge. At least here in Missouri, we have elected judges. So, if we have a judge that's screwing around, we can make sure that they, get unseated. And by the way, gang, I'm deadly serious about what I said earlier. Publicly go after your politicians that are corrupt. Please do this. This is incumbent upon you as a citizen. You are literally allowing the corruption to breed and fester if you don't do such a thing. April, I have a lot of respect for you. This. Go ahead, Caleb.
It's your duty, your civic duty, to bully and ridicule your local political parasites.
That's right. If you've got a great politician, an honest, for instance, I have Jared Taylor as my representative. You guys have never heard a complaint out of me about that man. He is a good man in the Missouri House of Representatives. So I don't bully my representative. But if you have a bad representative, you should be calling them once a week and telling them, what your grievances are with them, what the decisions they make, what the legislation they try to propose. Don't let this stuff slip by. Every single person in Missouri should be looking at the legislation put forward by their representation every year. You don't have to look at all of it. Go ahead.
Just in case you want to know, I served the 14 rhinos in the Senate, intent to file against them.
Yep.
I literally went to their offices and said, you've been served, and served them papers with intent. And because they're fraudulently running as Republicans, and they haven't done anything to make on the Republican agenda. I mean, their track record is so bad that they are literally voting with Democrats more often than they are with Republicans, and they're not even following the Republican ethics and what we put out there as this is what we stand for. They're not following that. So when they go out there, like Dave Schatz is like the ultimate ridiculous person, and so is Caleb Rowden. Okay, they're sitting there and they're saying we're pro-life, we're pro-gun, we're pro this, we're pro that, and they're not. They're always running. They're always putting something against it. Like they're voting to put Planned Parenthood, to fund Planned Parenthood. How is that pro-life?
Yep.
It doesn't even make any sense. So when these guys are running, their ads are fraudulent. They're talking fraudulently, and then people vote for them because they think that they're going to do what they say. And then when they get in office, they don't. They have a fiduciary responsibility to the Republican people who voted for them, the conservatives who voted for them, to do what we asked them to do, what we hired them to do. If this was an employee, we'd have fired them long ago, because they're not upholding the company standards. And we're not, and these guys are like, they're stuck like super glue in these seats. We got to get rid of them. And the only way to do this is to make sure that you go over there, just like you said, call them once a week, serve them papers if you have to. Believe me, and Patrick, they'll serve you papers faster than
Yes, they will. Yes, they will.
You know what they said? You know what they tried to do? They tried to say, after I serve them papers, we need to get her arrested for harassing a senator, for threatening a senator. I'm like, threatening? Are you kidding me? You guys are threatening our livelihood every day. You guys are the ones who are milking us completely of our money, and we're supposed to just sit here and say, okay, well, you're a senator, so I guess that's just the way it is. It isn't the way it is, and it doesn't have to be that way.
That's right.
We need to get rid of them.
Great point. It doesn't have to be that way. It's just that we lay back and accept it. You know, that's the problem with us, you know, as people in the United States of America. You guys, if you don't know your rights, you don't know what to do anyway. I recommend picking up a copy of the Constitution if you truly don't know the limitations of the federal government. It's right there in the Constitution. And it's been amended, so we're going to get to the amendments as soon as you're done with the Constitution. But the Bill of Rights are your rights. They're your rights. The Constitution is the limitations on federal government. Your rights don't derive from the Constitution. They're from the Bill of Rights. And so the Constitution literally says what
they're not from the Bill of Rights either.
Well, technically that's true. It's natural law. But the Founding Fathers acknowledged this. This is God's law. That's where our rights come from. So, but the important point is this. If you don't know, you know, what your rights are, please do look it up, because, you know, the system has failed in teaching them to you. In many cases, the school systems, parents, what have you. But I think all of us need to understand this going forward, because we are getting so screwed by our government. Everyone wants to talk about how bad the federal government is. Let's clean up our own backyards first. Let's start there before we worry about the federal, because federal is a big behemoth of unfortunately a pedophile network. And it's very difficult to take down a network like that, and it's worldwide. Governments around the world participate in it. It's easier to get rid of the corruption at the local level than it is on the federal level, is what I'm saying. And also, it's better for us as citizens to clean up our own backyards before we even worry about Washington, D.C. anyway, because if you start at the top and you fail, you'll be less likely to wanting to clean it up anywhere else, even where it's easier. So that's been our message. Our organization is really, truly about the state of Missouri, but we want other states to be free as well. So that's what we do. We go after the corruption in the state of Missouri. We call it out where we find it, and that's what we do. And April is doing the same thing in her county. So I applaud you. I mean, that's wonderful. You know,
Well, I tell you, I have a good team of people that are on my campaign team, and they believe like I do, and they're not afraid. You know, I thought, I'm not going to have a team, I'm sure.
But you have a team. Good deal.
Yeah, I do have a team. And they're not afraid. They're not afraid to stand up against this corruption. In fact, some of them have decided, you know what, I'm just gonna not work with that committee right there, because they're so corrupt. Instead, they're gonna call them out. I'm gonna support them in that. It's amazing how much corruption really is in your own backyard. You know, I think people don't understand also. See, if you have a good sheriff, you can do a whole lot.
Yep.
The sheriff is the most important position in the entire county, and we don't even pay any attention to that. We just go, whatever. But that is actually the most important guy right there, because they can push the feds out and say, no, you can't come in here. They can uphold the Constitution. So if you have a bad sheriff like I do, I have a really bad sheriff, okay? Our sheriff has he has no intention of upholding anything constitutional. He is more about policy and making sure that the Democrats stay in power. He's a Democrat.
Hey,
okay?
2 years ago, I had talked to our Jackson County sheriff and asked him if he'd support SEPA when we was in the process of putting SEPA up. And he said he had a few questions about it, which was all right, you know, but then he also said that if they pass it, he'd uphold it. I'm just curious, do you have any experience where he hasn't been upholding it?
Absolutely. I have experience where he's not upholding the Constitution. Okay.
Well, I'm talking about SEPA in particular. Has he done anything?
On that. Nobody's challenged him yet, but I can assure you that he's going to uphold policy over anything. I already know that because I've asked him.
I know he said if it passed, he would support it. You know, he would just do the job.
Well, that's kind of a cop-out answer, isn't it? If it passes, I'll support it. Don't ask me what my feelings are about the Constitution. You know, if something passes, I'll enforce it.
Well, hey, at least he does that. I'm just curious if he's actually been doing it or if he's violated SEPA in any way.
I'm going to say he's probably violated. And the only reason I'm saying that is because he said the same thing over the mask thing, and he violated that. So it's one thing when you're actually talking to him. It's another thing when you are actually in a situation. Okay, he's going to go by whatever he thinks the Democrats want, because he's controlled by the Democrats. Okay, so if they don't like it, he's not going to do it. And let me tell you something else. And this is why I say that. I don't believe one word that comes out of his mouth. And the reason that I'm saying this is because when I had that problem over there at the Jackson County Courthouse, I called the office and I asked them, are you going to uphold the Constitution or a policy? And they would not answer the question we're going to uphold the Constitution. They wouldn't even say that. They said, we are going to enforce the policies of the county executive. Mm-hmm. And I said, so what you're saying is you're not going to uphold the Constitution. You're going to uphold a policy over the Constitution. We didn't say that. That's what we said. We didn't say that. We said we're going to uphold the policy of the county executive. Isn't that the same thing? That's word salad double talking.
Yeah.
So this is why I don't believe him, because if he can't do it there, what would make me think he's going to do it in SEPA? What would make me think he's going to do it in any other constitutional way when he's already in rights?
The only reason why I bring that up is, being a city would do that, if we can catch him in something where he hasn't, then,
I'm sure it'll come up.
Hold him accountable.
I'm sure it'll come up.
I got another question. How come Jackson County Courthouse isn't located in the county seat of Jackson County?
They have two courthouses. They have one in Independence and they have one out there.
Yep.
And I'm going to say, let's see. Can you say Freemason?
I don't know. It's just,
where is the largest?
You got to pay a ton of money to park around the county courthouse just to go to a meeting. Mm-hmm. And you got to go through all the security nonsense.
Yeah, but the largest concentration of Freemasons is over there in Kansas City.
That is interesting.
All I know is they need more free parking around the county courthouse. It's hard here's another thing. They always hold the meetings during the day. Most people can't go during the day. They need to hold them because, like, our city council meetings are held in the evenings, where people can watch them or go to them or whatever. They hold these in the middle of Kansas City, surrounded by a bunch of, paid parking. Well, you got to spend $6, $8, $10 in a parking place or drive around. And here's a dumb thing. They got those meters. You can only put like 2 hours worth of coins in there. Well, if you do that and you go to a meeting, that meeting goes over 2 hours, you're going to get your damn car towed.
Yep.
That's right.
It's almost like a Roach Motel going to one of those meetings.
I know compared to the other stuff that's going on, this sounds kind of trivial, but this is what keeps people out of those meetings.
Yeah. The election board does their meeting different times. You never know. Okay. They only have to give you 72 hours. And it's at 8:30 in the morning.
Yeah. During a week.
Yeah.
Now,
ridiculous.
They would hold those meetings in Independence at the square around the courthouse somewhere, which I'm sure they could do no problem.
They could.
That would get more people there just because, if there's free parking, plenty of free parking around there. Mm-hmm. And then if they held them in the evenings instead of during the day, you'd be able to get more people, at least be watching them or whatever else.
Well, the problem is also with these meetings, they've already done all their behind the scenes wheeling and dealing stuff. So when you actually get to the meeting, when you actually get to the meeting, they're not discussing anything. It's just like, here's the bill, raise your hand if you're for it.
That happens here too in a small county.
Yeah.
That happens here
so
too.
they don't want you to know what.
That's because you can't get no people to show up there. Like I said, it's during the day. It's in the middle of an area where, first of all, you got so much construction going on, you can't park close. And then when you park, you got to pay. It's like I said, you get a 2-hour limit on the thing. I mean, you can get your car towed going to a meeting.
And then there's all one-way streets. So if you miss the first one, you got to go all
the way. What they do, they make it impossible for most people to show up, and then they just carry on their business.
That's right. So that's a weird way of looking at it. And KC actually made a joke of it. And I was going to continue the joke, but they're making you pay to participate in government, with this parking.
Right.
So guys, keep that in mind. If your government
get
is
your car towed or something.
Yeah, that's right. Well,
Pay $10 to park in a lot.
yeah, so the Freemasons of Kansas City should, break open the kitty here and pay for parking when there's public meetings, I think. You hear that, Freemasons, you guys out there? Instead of using that money for other reasons, it's time for you guys to start anteing up and paying for people's parking when there's public meetings going on in Kansas City.
Well, they could take that $68 million and just pay for everybody's parking.
Yeah.
There you go.
Or that, the $17 million that they gave to Texas, they could pay for parking.
Just pay for everybody's parking.
Yep.
It is so outrageous.
It's ridiculous.
I know it.
Yep. So if you want to actually participate in a meeting in Kansas City and file a grievance with some right they're trying to take away of yours, you got to pay for parking to do so. That's what a scam. What a freaking scam.
And you got to take off work because it's during the week.
Yeah, of course. And so you lose,
Unless you're a banker or something.
Yeah.
Do you know what else they're doing? Okay, and I just had this discussion with somebody the other day. So these traffic things. Okay, so let's say that you get a speeding ticket or whatever, and there's no victim. So there really isn't a crime. It's just a fee, if you even believe in that stuff. But let's just pretend that we do. And
let's pretend for a second.
So they charge this fee. You have to take off work because they want you to literally show up. I don't even understand this. A long time ago, you could just pay a fee, and go on your way. Just pay the ticket. You didn't have to show up for court. Now they want you to take the day off to go to court, miss everything, and then they'll decide one way or the other. I've seen this revolving door in Independence where it's traffic court, and people just say continuance, and they just continuance one after another. Continuance, and they just okay, and they just keep going like that. It's super, super, super fast. I'm like, what is this? And then occasionally cha-ching, and that's it.
Hey,
I don't get
why
it.
Why don't we get a bus and everybody park at say Independence Center, meet there, ride the bus into the city, and come back and pick us up.
There we go. And the city will pay for it with taxes they collect from you at the same time. That's awesome. I need the Freemasons to ante up here. The ones that are
talking about a school bus.
I know, I'm
Rent
teasing.
A school bus.
Yeah, they'd love
that. Let's see. Someone put something funny in the chat here. Sherry Molina says, getting corrupt here. They put up a four-way stop sign, for Pete's sake. Then handicap ramps in front of a Taekwondo studio. You got to have those ramps in the Taekwondo studio.
That's awesome.
Fucking government.
That's gold right there.
Okay, guys. Well, I'll tell you what. Yep, I'm going to go ahead and start the process of wrapping it up. We went a little bit longer than I thought, and I've got dogs I got to take outside real soon. Otherwise, I'll have a surprise in the house here for me. But I do want to say how welcome you are to come back, April. Anytime you want. Sunday nights at 7:30, we're always here. We do a live stream. And not only that, we'll continue on Discord as we always do, even after we stop the live stream. And that's when people can let down their hair and we can have discussions that we can't have on YouTube, and then, stay away from the trap words and that sort of thing. So that doesn't usually last for too long, though. But if anyone wanted to come in and talk to April in Discord after we're done live streaming, I'm sure April can spare a few minutes for you. If she got some questions about what's going on in her county or some stories, there's actually a few people put up a few stories here. One mentioned something about her husband being wrongly accused and imprisoned in the county because of a corrupt law enforcement system.
Mm-hmm.
And that, by the way, that's terrible. But that happens in lots of places in Missouri. And yes, that has to be stopped. Mm-hmm. So, all right. Does anyone have any final questions for April or final comments? Anyone want to mention anything before we wrap her up? Anyone on YouTube? If you guys have any questions or anything, let us know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. When's the election for what your seat you're running for?
Well, as long as nobody else files, the primaries are actually in August, but the election is November 8th.
Okay, second Tuesday.
All right. And now, which district are you running for?
District 3. It's
District 3. What's that?
It's Independence, parts of a little teeny part of Kansas City. It's Sugar Creek, and also a little part of Lee Summit, because they did redistricting.
Okay, so I'm in your district then, because I live in Independence,
Awesome.
around Truman and Sterling. You know where that is?
I do.
All right, good.
I live around.
I finally got somebody to vote for now. Jeez. You know how many times I've wrote none of the above on a ballot?
It's kind of.
I mean,
like
I had to. Otherwise, somebody could take my ballot and black something in. You know.
You're a rabble rouser, Casey. A rabble rouser.
No. What you're supposed to do is, like, I don't know, write in some some like
Stalin, Hitler, something.
Yeah, something like that.
Somebody who follows the Constitution a little more than most.
Yeah, my dog missed being the mayor of Clever by 80 votes. So he came pretty close, you know. So yeah,
we
well,
should put more money in his campaign.
I know he's not self-funding kind of dog. So you know he depends on others. So, but by the way, we joke, April, but the joke is my dog Timmy Chonga was basically going to run for mayor because he'd probably be better than the mayor we have now. So.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I can relate to that. I have 2 cats, and they would be better than the mayor we have.
Yep. Yep. So, basically someone's pet being, a mayor, being better than your existing mayor because nothing's getting done is actually a good thing for the people. It actually is.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think about the Independence mayor race? Is that pretty sad, huh?
Yeah, she's an idiot. This was planned a long time ago.
So's the other guy. He's not.
Yeah, Rory's terrible. The only choice we have now is to write in Mike Steinmeier, and one of the problems is, you have to write his name correctly in order for it to count. Now, they did make a rule that said if they can figure out that that's the guy you're trying to write in, they will let it count because he has a hard name, Steinmeier. But
it's German spelling.
Yeah. The rule was
Stein isn't beer Stein. Meyer is an Oscar Meyer. There you go. It's easy enough.
They were trying to make the rule here that you had to spell it exactly correct, otherwise it wasn't going to count. And I thought, do you know how hard that is for people today? I mean, they put LOL instead of laugh out loud. So,
Hey, I do that too now. Come on.
I mean, Twitter, you can only fit so many characters.
You got a whole room full of idiots here.
I do it too. I mean, Steinmeier is one of these ones that you got to think about, You got to really think about it. And today we do use abbreviations for everything. So I'm like, I hope Steinmeier can get in there. I mean, but he's a city council member. So I don't know him that well, but I will say this: when I've heard him speak, at least he sounds correct. Okay.
What do you think about the at-larges?
I think the one guy, I can't remember. His name starts with a D. He's good. And I'm gonna say the other one is a rhino.
Are you talking about Huff?
No. Oh, I was talking about county legislator.
No, I was talking about at-large and Independence, the council race.
Yeah.
You got mayor and council coming up.
I don't know. The problem that I have with these guys is they've been.
Do you live in Independence too, or?
Yeah, I live in.
What part?
I live by William Chrisman High School.
Oh, up by 24 Nolan?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm right down by Truman and Sterling where that Quick Trip is. You know where that's at?
Yes, I do.
All right.
I know exactly where that is.
What do you think about the at-large candidates?
For the city?
Yeah, for city.
The problem is they were politicians. They're always politicians. We have some real corruption going on in Independence with the electric company and the federal investigations and the police department now. I don't really trust any of them at all. I wish we could just get new people in every one of these seats, then I think we would have something. But I did tell Steinmeier I'm gonna hold your feet to the fire, and Mike Huff is the same way. I'm gonna hold their feet to the fire regardless.
Hey, April, Gary Ride has a question for you. Is Pryor Road in your district in Lee Summit?
I don't know. With the new redistricting, I'd have to look, but it seems like it might be.
Okay, gotcha.
Pryor Road. I'm trying to think exactly where that is.
We just looked at the map the other day. Now we have a new We the People meeting that is at Joe Nicola's house. Church, which is on Main Street. It's the third Tuesday of every month, and that is going to be at New Covenant Church on Main Street in Independence. And we had almost, it was almost full last time. But that's where you can meet the candidates for that are coming up. Now, these
are you?
Go ahead.
You got a BitChute, right? I mean, not BitChute, but I mean,
She's got a Rumble.
What?
I have
no, not Rumble. No, what are we on Discord? You got, like, if I wanted to instant message you or something, private message you.
Sure.
Yeah,
just
right
click on her. Right click on her, KC, and then message is one of the options that you have.
All right, because I'd like to check out one of those meetings she's talking about.
Sure.
I've never been to one.
I think that'd be a great idea. I think
we got a lot of stuff that's going on at those meetings.
Okay, gotcha. I'll tell you what, gang, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here, though. I want to thank all of you, especially those of you on YouTube who chimed in, those of you who will watch this after the fact. Thank you very much. Please remember April Lejeune. Her website is down below in the description, her YouTube channel. She's actually kind of a mover and shaker in that area, going after corruption. We need more people like her running for office. We certainly want to do what she's doing. We have to, and I can't stress this enough, we have to bring this stuff to the public, forum. We have to talk about the corruption. It won't go away until we do this. It's up to us, gang. Otherwise, it'll fester. So thank you again for joining us, April. Everyone on YouTube, please do consider going to our website and consider giving April a donation. There's a request here that we continue having candidates that are worth their salt as guests. We will continue doing so, I promise you. And so, April, thank you again for taking the time to join us. And if you guys want to come in from YouTube into our Discord here and then talk with April apart from the live stream, I'm sure she'll stay here for a few minutes with us. Thanks again for joining.
Patrick?
Yeah.
Patrick, before you sign out, can I throw a couple things in?
Sure. Go for it, Casey.
All right. Maybe a little off subject, but first of all, if Dave Schatz is listening to this, you want to move up in the ratings a little bit, there's a couple things you can do. First of all, House Bill 2118, right to self-defense. You need to make sure it goes into the right committee so that it gets passed and not shut down like Burleson's bill. There's one thing you can do to help yourself move up. Another thing you can do, all these ballot initiatives that are coming through, you need to kill them. You got one right now in your government and local government and elections committee. That's a House bill. It's already passed through the House. That's HCR 57. You need to make sure that thing's killed because I think your boy Huff's in that committee. So there's another thing you can do. And then all these other ballot initiatives that are trying to get out of committee to go through the Senate and then on to the House, you need to stomp all those out, man. You want to help yourself move up, there's something you can do, especially House Bill 2118, man. We need to pass that thing. Oh, and one more. I have been bugging you ever since late 2021 about about standing up to all these police chiefs, sheriff's associations, everything else, county prosecutors that are trying to stop SEPA. Why don't you just step up and publicly say, hey, I got you? Because like I said, I've showed it to you, Patrick, and everyone else. I got him on Twitter actually saying he got them all in the room and made them all vote for SEPA. Well, now you need to step up and make all these guys back off. All these police chiefs associations, you need to just step up and say, hey, look, I support SAPA. Why are you guys coming after it? You know, either that or you need to get them in a private room somewhere and tell them all to back off. That will shoot you up past Greitens, no problem, because we all know Greitens is against SAPA. All right. So if you want to move up, Shats, if you want to get up higher than
other.
What was he? Oh, other. You want to get up higher?
Other.
Start doing something good. Look, you just got to bite it as far as passing that gas tax. But if you can pass some of these other bills, you'll help yourself tremendously. And you know, I'm not just trying to say this to get you to do it, but if you try and stifle any of these, or you try and, you know, get those ballot initiatives, you know,
then we will
killers out
call
there.
you out publicly.
That's right. Come on, Shats. You want to get elected Senate? You just spent $1 million, man. That alone ain't gonna help. Why don't you start doing what the people want and get some of these bills passed? You got the power to decide where they go, and you can tell who can kill it and who can't. We all know it. I mean, look what you did with the gas tax. I mean, that thing was DOA, and in one evening, you got everybody to turn around and vote for that. So we know you have the power. So why don't you do something with these bills? Do something that people want. Look, Onder, Bratton, hey, and I like Bratton, and I like Onder too, but you got to call out bad where it's bad. And that's these ballot initiative bills. The same with Searport. God, there must be 6 or 8 of these things floating around both the House and Senate. They're coming fast and furious, man. There's a ton of them. Why don't you do that, Shats? Why don't you shut these things down? You know, because you had Bratton on, Aaron Doerr's show the other day. He's running for Congress. You know, he even said, he goes, he's more about what's right or wrong than it is about party. Well, then, you know, why are you trying to tell me that's all right to raise the threshold in those ballot initiatives just because you had to work hard to get elected? What's that got to do with the people having power? You know, if your federal government's messed up, then your state government is what you fought him with. If your state government starts taking advantage of you, that ballot initiative is your weapon to fight them with. And you're sitting here, and he sat there and told me in a committee hearing that, hey, I had to work hard to get elected. You can do that too. I mean, that is such a retard thing to say, Senator Bratton. I'm calling you out on it, man. So, you know, you need to stop that. And Shats, you really want to move up and have a chance at getting elected, unless, I don't know, maybe you like spending $1 million for nothing. Why don't you start supporting House Bill 2118, and why don't you shut down all these ballot initiative killers that are coming through the Senate and the House? I don't know. If Shats ain't listening, if anybody who knows how to get home or any of his aides are listening, man, why don't you pass that word on to them? Because I'll tell you something right now. If you think putting up commercials about you deer hunting or trying to fix a truck, you already fixing a damn truck, or any of that nonsense is going to help you, nobody cares about that stuff. Are you serious? Look at the world around you, dude. You really think that stuff's going to help you? Do something right, man. Do something about these bills. We know you got the power to knock this stuff out and decide what goes and what doesn't. Like I said, look what you do with your gas tax, man. So why don't you step up? You say you're a straight shooter. What are you shooting it straight in? The back? You know, why don't you actually do some of that stuff? You know, we got a bunch of crap bills coming through that's going to kill this state. We got some really good bills like HB 2118, the right to self-defense. It should be on the state to prove you guilty, not you to prove your own innocence. That's ridiculous, man. And I know when that bill gets into the Senate, if it passes the House, you're probably going to give it to Huff or somebody and have them sit on it. Man, you better not do that crap. We're watching you every step of the way. And when that bill gets out of the House and it comes to you, man, you better put that in a place where it'll pass. You got the power to do this stuff. You know, you say you're a straight shooter. Why don't you just step up and fucking do it? All right, man. I'm done. Sorry. Had to get that out.
No, that's all right. And extremely well said. And by the way, you're developing quite a fan club.
I wasn't trying to take away from your campaign. Actually, like I said, I want to get involved in those meetings you're talking about. I'd love to be able to hook up more people in Independence.
We'll do it.
All right, great.
Okay, and people on YouTube are asking for your Twitter handle and your channel. SAPA Central. Do a quick search for SAPA Central on YouTube. That's Casey's channel where he's handling SAPA concerns nationwide.
And House Bill 2118. We're tracking that one big time.
Yep.
Get ready to make your calls and emails, people.
Yep, that's
We're
right.
gonna need them.
Yep. In fact,
I can't afford the gas over there, man. So, hey, I got a question, Patrick.
Sure.
I don't, now with the House, you can send in online. You can send in witness forms.
That's through Ron Calzone.
Do that in the Senate. Okay, is Ron Calzone going to do
correct.
something?
Yes, he will do something for basically any. It goes beyond committee hearings. Any hearings that actually happen publicly in the Senate or in the House.
So how do you get that done?
You need to get on Ron Calzone's email list. So that's what we do. I can send a link to you if he sends one out, Casey. I know you're not on his list.
Yeah, Casey, it's real easy. You just go on his website and you can click to sign up almost. It's real easy.
So, and Ron Calzone does that as a public service in the state of Missouri. He is the only person that we know of nationwide who does that. For those of you who don't know what a witness form is, if you cannot, for some reason, appear before the House or the Senate in the state of Missouri because of work or whatever reason, you can fill out a form that will be presented on your behalf to the Senate or the House, specifically stating your position and why you believe that, and basically giving your argument for or against whatever bill that they're dealing with. And Ron Calzone does that with his own time and his own money.
And I got to throw something else in there too, man.
Mm-hmm.
Due to the price of gas and stuff going on here at home, I'm going to have probably not going to be able to make too many meetings within the next month or so, or any hearings or anything like that. Anybody close by or anybody can make it, man, just I'll pass the flag on to you, man. We need people to show up at these hearings and stuff.
He's referring. You're referring to Jeff City, right? Not Kansas City stuff, but Jeff City.
Yes.
Okay.
No, Jeff City.
Okay.
All right. But yeah, people want. Like I said, I don't think it's like I said about the next month. I ain't gonna be able to go up there. So anybody else, man, wants to grab the mantle and go, pick up the gauntlet, take it. Mm-hmm. But if not, then like I said, we can go through Ron Calzone. Hopefully, he'll set us up some witness forms because there's going to be a bunch of legislation coming up.
Yep.
We got to be ready to fight it when it's in the committee.
Yep.
Hey, Patrick.
Yes, sir.
Next time you're writing a title for one of these, YouTube-a-thons, you should put in there and a famous rant by Casey Ridge. Too.
Yeah, that was
You're
an awesome
really
rant, Casey.
Up, dude. Yeah, man. I'm like, holy crap. Because I haven't known you all that long, but you've gone from, well, not meek and mild. You always were as a giant kind of guy, but to a real terror. You're just like fired up, man. I love it.
I'm thinking that's going to be like a
This
3 or.
There's a time and a place for everything. You know, sometimes you hold back, sometimes you let it loose. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you're nice people. Sometimes you got to turn on the heat. Time and place for everything. It's all calculated.
And this is a perfect video to do it, as April Lejeune is talking about what she wants to do in Kansas City, drain the swamp up there, get rid of the corruption.
And we need people.
We're
like
watching
her
you,
up there. I can tell
Shats.
you that right now. It's corrupt as fuck, man.
Yep, we are watching you, Shats. We are watching you.
She lives in independence. She knows what independence politics all about, man. Mm-hmm. You can go all the way back to the Harry Truman days. Yeah. I mean, it's brutal politics up here. We need some people to get up there and clean it out.
And for those of you wondering why we don't attack Democrats the way we do Republicans, is because Democrats are an extinct species up in Jefferson City. They have virtually no power. It serves no point other than, for us to, what's the point in browbeating and literally saying in Jeff City, the Democrats this, the Democrats that. They can't get anything done. All they can do is filibuster. They're so small in number compared to the Republicans. We do have a problem with rhinos in Jefferson City, as April had so succinctly pointed out for us tonight. It's a serious problem. And Schatz and Parson are the leaders of that particular tribe. Mm-hmm. And so we do have a problem there, and we point them out. So we call them out, just like KC did tonight. And thank you very much for that, KC. And one more thing. I'd like to say this to Dave Schatz. Please return my phone call. Next time you get a chance, just give me a call back. I'd love to chat with you, sir. And
come on here and talk on a Sunday night,
sure,
Mr. Straight Shooter.
Yeah, we'd love to have you.
We won't be mean to you or anything.
Yeah,
If you're willing to come out here and talk, we're willing to.
I would
and I'll
love.
meet you in the street at high noon. Get him, Casey. Get him.
I've never
I'm serious,
extended.
man. If he'd come on here and just, be a straight shooter like he says, I'm not going to say anything or mess with him or nothing.
Yeah, he's too
But,
busy
I mean,
fixing his
he's
truck,
one who
man.
holds-
He won't find time
He's
for
the
us.
one who holds the power where he's at, man. He can get a lot of great legislation through. Like I said, if he wants to get somewhere past there's a lot of things he could do that none of these other guys are going to touch. Because he's sitting in a very powerful position right now.
He is.
Handling state politics. And he's moving up the Senate. He can make himself look really good if he wanted to. Either that or he can make himself look like a piece of, whatever. Like I said, those are a few suggestions he can do. I mean, like I said, he's got to deal with that gas tax, especially now gas is going through the roof. But he can make up for that in a lot of ways. Because like I said, Greitens is well, we all know what him and One-Eyed Dan are. They're definitely not pro two-way. Yeah, I don't care. It is what it is. I mean, that guy's voting for red flag laws, man. I'm supposed to be nice to him? Seriously?
No, we're just laughing
You
because
never
that's
have
an
to be nice to a
awesome
political
nickname you
parasite.
created for him. We
Yeah.
have Jabba the
Somebody's gonna
Shats.
say, how can you say? Somebody's gonna say, how can you dare say something like that? How dare can they pass these damn laws, man? All this crap's been going on in the last couple of years. And I'm supposed to be nice to these people?
No.
I think I am being nice by not totally going off on them.
Yeah, but you
But
weren't.
anyway, Shats, you want to give yourself a better chance to win. I don't know. Maybe you like spending $1 million for nothing because that's what you're doing so far. But start working on some of these bills, man. Because we all know you hold the power, dude. So if you just make them happen, you'd help yourself a lot. Like I said, you kind of buried yourself that gas tax, but you can still make up for it.
I got a quick question if anyone knows the
you
answer.
keep doing what you're doing, you're going to get jacked.
Yeah, is Schatz, is he a Mason? Does anyone know? Like Parson is?
I don't know, but I would say that he probably is.
Yeah, I was just wondering. I'm just curious. I just follow that sort of thing. It's kind of strange how many Masons make it to governorships and speakerships and floor leaders, in states and stuff. I just find that absolutely incredible because there's not that many Masons in the United States, yet they are the majority politicians that we seem to elect are the Masons. It's just an oddity. I thought I'd point it out. Casey?
Oh, yeah, you believe that too.
Yeah. Casey, loved your rant, man. Love you. Thank you for that, by the way.
Wasn't a rant, just telling it like it is.
No, it was an awesome rant. And it was
It wasn't a rant, dude. It's not a rant. I'm just telling you that's what he needs to do.
Gotcha, buddy.
Stop arguing with him, Patrick. You're going to get him mad.
You're belittling it by saying that nonsense. I'm just telling you what he needs to do, man. It's not a rant. It's what he needs to be doing.
It's a
Period.
grocery
Plain and
list
simple.
for Schatz. Gotcha. Yep. And
There you go.
and Schatz, you better take this stuff pretty seriously because we will be watching you very closely, and our channel's going to report on your every move from this point forward. So you might want to consider, and that's the same thing with Huff and Roden. You guys, we're watching you, and the state of Missouri's
Your
watching you.
life's going to get a lot more painful pretty soon.
What's
unless
that?
you want to turn your act
What
around.
you started the list of nicknames that have been developed over a period of time
Yes.
on this channel. So
Okay.
rip it.
Okay,
Rip it.
gotcha. We have Lincoln Huff representing somewhere in Springfield. He is Senator Crab Cakes. I'm not going to go into the etymology of it, but it fits. Trust me. And
Oh,
so,
yeah.
yeah.
Mr. Didn't he shit himself?
No, something like we theorized he might have because we invited him into a live stream. He didn't show up. We figured he was on the toilet because he had crab cakes the night before. So that's how that started.
It's
Okay.
all a figment of Patrick's imagination.
Mhm. Well, then we have Jabba the Shats, and so that's for Dave Schatz. And then we have
Which is super fitting.
Yep. And then
Super fitting.
and then Caleb is, or we call him the Rodent or Caleb the Rodent. Caleb Rowden. So the triad of evil up in Jeff City. I shouldn't say evil. I just say that they were very suspicious in their behaviors with getting SEPA done. Let's just put it that way. And Schatz got his gas tax, so he finally allowed SEPA through, even though he made promises to people, very private promises to a lot of people, Dave Schatz did, that the gas tax had nothing to do with getting SEPA through in 2021. And Dave Schatz, it does look like you fibbed. I just have to say, it looks like you may have actually...
It's a little white lie there.
Yeah, a little white lie there. And, you know, those private promises you were making behind closed doors and everything turned out not to be accurate. So at any rate, we'll talk about that later. Again, thank you, April Lejeune. We've gone 2.5, almost 3 hours now, so we're going to go ahead and shut her down. But I want to thank everyone for joining tonight. Please join us in Discord for a few minutes if you want to. That's where we let our hair down right after the live stream is over. If you guys have questions for April or anything like that, now's a perfect time to do it. April does have a YouTube channel. She has a Rumble channel. She has a website. It's all linked down below in the description section. Please check them all out. She is running to drain the swamp in Kansas City, gang. Think about that. So, and we need more people like her around the state of Missouri. So please consider running for office. April, you can be an inspiration to many people. And thank you for doing what you're doing. And thank you for coming in tonight. That was awesome of you.
Yeah, thanks for putting up with us.
Yeah. Okay.
See you guys.
May God
April.
bless.
Hey, and I'm still interested in that meeting.
Yeah, just send me a message.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. Yeah.
Okay. May God bless each and every one of you, gang. Have a great week. Love you all. Take care.
I'll beat the sin.
Thanks for